All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful morning. We talked about it already. Last night was looking a little interesting. You were down about 0.5. It looked a little sticky after the Middle East freak out. And then this morning, the data came in good once again. PPI came in lower than expected. A little interesting. Even the jobless claims down about point. The job market is a little bit worse, so we can have that debate on how important that is. But you had all that. Now we're only down a quarter, and we're still kind of chilling. A little bit of fatigue yesterday, but you are still holding up this rally. Now, we're going to hear a couple of things. You did have a very tragic plane accident with Boeing, so they're affected. And then there was a couple of other broader moves related to companies, but it's a Friday, Junior. Should be pretty straightforward. You did already get the PPI data, and the only other thing, there was a Trump comment, but all we're looking out for is your boy, the bond auction. So get ready right around Philo time. You should probably get a membership. But other than that, it should be a good one. So Chattadonia, I hope you're ready. We only got 2 minutes. So if you have any plays, post them now. This is your time. Otherwise, after that, we're done. Oil could hit 130 in worst case for Iran, says JP Morgan. So they're pumping oil. But I'm going to be watching Boeing, GE, SPR, Oracle, CoreWeave, BABA, CNET, OSK, IPA, ARM, and Pizza. And that is my plays I'll be looking at. So we're not going to force anything. But yeah, there were some good ones even pre-market here. We just talked about them. So Chad, lock in. Game time. Post what you got. Oh, we got NVIDIA, ACHR, XPEV, TLT, Boeing puts, Oracle, Great Watchlist, ACHR, selling GME, LMAO, big list today, AVDV, AVEM, SPMO, GVIP. I don't know any of those. Oh my goodness. All right, we only got a minute. I do need to go potty. They don't have anything. I'm going to play a commercial to go potty.
So when we started with giant pandas 50 years ago, there were fewer than 1,000 pandas in the world, right? We're talking in the wild and zoos, fewer than 1,000. And decades later, there are close to 2,000 pandas in the wild now. Actually, I think a little over 1,800. There are over 700 pandas in breeding centers. So as part of this program, we have tripled the number of pandas on the planet.
But still a small number of pandas.
Because of this program, there are more pandas on the planet, more quality panda habitat in the wild, and pandas have gone from being endangered to being vulnerable.
Key investors, top executives, global innovators. Join me for in-depth conversations with the biggest newsmakers on the day's top stories. Insight with Haslinda Anand, only on Bloomberg.
Okay.
Bloomberg loves earnings.
I know you hate everybody who trades retail. So Chattadonia, God bless you. God bless America. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bing! Round 1. Fight. All right. Again, NVO off. Boeing was down a lot more. So, if that's going to hold, I will let it do its thing. You know what I'm saying? Zelensky says Ukraine expects to get new Iris-T Defender systems. All right, that one's already moving. Okay, we need a little more. I'm looking. Did the Boeings even open? That sucks. I still have one of those free Boeings. Yeah. Honestly, the puts, 700%. So, yeah, some of them near the money went up like 300, but then the asks are crazy. So, yeah, and then again, you have a couple of other ones. You have SPR and a few others that you could use. NVIDIA, BABA. Yeah, BABA was down really, really bad. And then watch the biotechs as well. Again, NASDAQ down a quarter, SPY down a quarter. Russell's down a decent amount as well. Remember, yesterday you didn't really get China activity. And then now that's it. Boeing premium still opening or holding. All right. Not bad. Well, India plane crash found one survivor. and another in the hospital. That's coming out now. Sebastian, welcome. UNH, all right, Boeing's on the high. Wait, what? Yeah, wait, my thing's not even loading. Yeah, Boeing's hit the high. It was showing that it was pinned. And then watch Big Tech. I'm still trying to navigate one of these. All right, not too bad. Oh, whoa. NVOs? I forgot we had those. Yeah, remember the lagging NVOs? They went up a shit ton. I just saw that. Wide spreads, though. Nibis, again, Core Weave. They were running off that headline that we had yesterday, if you guys recall. SMR, again, do you guys know the Oklo stuff from yesterday? Apparently, that was old. That's what they said. It was like this. It was news from like a year or two ago on the Alaska thing. And then they did that offering after the bell. Boeing's coming down. Microsoft. Again, keep in mind, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. I think those are going to be absolutely crucial. Tesla's coming up. And then speaking of Oklo, that's moving up. G7 ready to lower Russian oil price cap without Trump if necessary, sources say. Mm-hmm. Uranium, MO on the low. Again, keep in mind, there is a couple of ex-dividends around the corner. Labu and Biotechs, I guess they're barely up. Again, Russell's down too. Russell and Dow. Remember, those were the leaders. Walmart down. Again, uranium is waking up. There's Oracle post-earnings, so still holding up 8 and going. Palo Alto, TGTX, they were down in the morning. CWEN, Datadog. Again, Datadog got a deal, or they did an offering, or they got an upgrade. Yeah, they're up. Sezzle's going up. Now, Apple on the low. I don't like that. Again, the last couple days, that we've held up very well, but that Mag 7 impact is still very large. So, unless that fixes itself, NVIDIA's going, so I don't know how much that helps. Perfect. Lulu. Oh, I saw Lulu moving. Again, there was a headline to Nike. Nike Vietnam. Somebody in Vietnam was pushing for something. So keep that in mind. Yeah, gold and silver, bro. Honestly, silver is lagging a little bit. We might want to go back. But remember I told you, you're going to get a couple of entries. Yeah, the silvers are still up about 50% though. They were up 90 at the peak. Again, crypto's down. That Invitus is moving. Again, the pizza. Oh, yeah, let's see pizza. Because now, again, we haven't heard shit. No one said anything on it. But, yes. Arbitrage. Yeah, pizza near the low. Again, NVO still climbing. Watch even shippers, too. And then don't forget defensives. Yesterday, all that Mideast stuff. HIMS is on the high. Again, Oracle as well. That is continuing over 8%. That is great for earnings, my friend. Yeah, no, those won't work. Honestly, the pizza one, we need pizza chain. Tell me if you guys find one. There's the shitty ones for July. Those are, again, we already have a shit ton of free ones, but I'm looking for something closer to the money. But the spreads are not there. Again, we want to take advantage of the back and forth. Excuse me. PA. Again, they haven't. I've been looking, but it's not like back in the day where Boeing planes would just like fall out the sky. Well, they still do, but it's the stock effect. Remember, it could take some time, but usually like the trading of it intraday, it kind of just gets pinned on some of these bad news days. So it's very fascinating. There's Abivi again. NVO's still up, but they came down. Eli Lilly wants to go. Baba options, something is happening. Yeah, I don't know. They just dropped all the bids on Baba options, even the ones with time. It's like a very odd chain right now. BTU, there's this SPY, Chewy on the high, Naka. That was the one from yesterday. XLV, it is outperforming a little bit. It's not doing bad. Iran President Pezeshkian says even if Iran nuclear facilities are destroyed by bombs, we will rebuild them again. Oh, it's Baba dividends? Oh yeah, that was one of the ex-dividend ones, yep. Chewy, and then there's ARM. I feel like I think ARM is going to get something. There was Macron and some other UK stuff. French and UK I heard in the morning, but surprise. And then NVIDIA, again, NVIDIA and chips are doing great. Boeing is just staying pinned. Oh, the oust. I forgot about that. Yeah, those came down. They went from 1,000% back down to like 400%. And then Google. SMR, another round, bro. So again, yesterday with all the nuclear was crazy. So just watch if that ends up going. Yeah, I got Oklo up there right now. Got SMR. None of the China plays. I mean, JD is starting to remove MPW for some reason. There's Tesla now. 3 candles on Tesla, back up. Honestly, that doesn't look too bad. Oh, it already filled that gap yesterday. But then SPY moving, Oracle. Holy. Yeah, Oracle's going, bro. That's great. I'm telling you. To have it's not really a big mover. So, like we talked about yesterday, it didn't move and then it went through the AI shit. And now it just goes crazy. But, like, keep in mind that could be, that's big to hold up 8% and then continue. Fascinating. And it's at all-time highs. Alright. Baba. Okay, the Baba options adjusted. There's Iraq, there's Test, there's SPY at the high. Goldman cuts 12-month recession probability to 30% from 35. Thanks, Goldman. No one is buying these, bro. That is part of it too, yeah. But then again, their earnings and they gave good guidance, good demand. All right, Nibis dump. I like some of them, but they didn't really move, to be honest. Some of these options are hella weird, hella wonky. Yeah, it's too far out the money, bro. Let's see, we'll just wait. Reddit on the high, then MSTR, Boeing starting to pop. I'd keep eyes, bro. There is some cheap ones, but it's not, it's far. I'm gonna give you guys one to watch. Nibus, yeah, again. NVIDIA, CoreWeave, all 3 of those. They have their own little party. Okay, Nibis. Nibis is on the low. Back to 50. There's RCAP. Costco. Okay, NVO. Again, we had some of those. Those are holding great. Well, I'm down. Again, I put out a play to watch. I'm not taking them, but again, it's related to Oracle. So I don't have any. I like it a lot. I just don't like how far out the money they are. I like the idea. I like the confirmation. I like the demand, but it's just like any of the plays that are worth, you know, without the risk, it's just they're fucking 50% out the money. So yeah, good luck with those. Again, you could play it closer to the money, and I think that's a little bit more viable, but yeah. Okay, SPY going XTIA. I found a shitty one. Back from back surgery, amen, baby. Well, I hope you were listening. Since you've been gone, there's been a lot of changes. So I would lock in, baby. But glad that you're doing okay and back. Trump, our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good. Longtime workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace. In many cases, the criminals allowed to our country by the very stupid Biden borders are applying for those jobs. This is not good. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the U.S. Changes are coming. I don't know. What the fuck you just say, President? Mr. President? Oh, I should have held it. So I flipped one of those shitty plays, you guys. See, I don't tell you guys the shitty plays because I don't want to be the guy who put it on your radar. But I got some free shares this morning and it's working. But like I told you, it's on that list from the AM. You guys know that? I might need to make you a video for the guys who are waking up early with me, because there's a way to use that list. Because I'm telling you, every single morning, there's at least one that you could cherry pick. Damn. That one went up 50%. So I already sold it. I made it free at 30, but... He's signing executive order. Oracle, Palo Alto, bonds on the low. But yeah, like, you guys got to pay... Okay, China moving. At least Baidu and JD. But like I'm saying, you got to... You got to pay attention to those morning ones, because it's very subtle. But like, there's at least one almost every single morning where you at least know that's going to kind of be what they are going to make stories around, or it could just have pure momentum. So yeah, like I said, there was two this morning. I only took one of them, but actually, let me check the other one. Iraq. I found a shitty Iraq play. I did, instead of getting time and paying way more out the money, it's not gonna hit. It's still far as fuck out the money, but I kept it very small. Oh, I forgot that one. So I'll tell you one of them. I didn't play OSK. So OSK was on the morning list. See, they haven't moved yet though. Maybe again they had an adjustment to an army contract. Nvidia. Hold on, you got Nvidia, Robinhood. I don't know if it's chip related or if everything is just broad. Yeah, Microsoft now. You even got MDB, Oracle. Even Google coming back up. B. Bro, a lot of things just ripped. Barrett Gold. like Mongo. All right, and then Google's coming back. All those texts went. The shitty plays are kind of working. Holy fuck. All right. Inshallah, Habibi. Inshallah. But yeah, OSK, that was one, but that one didn't move. TTD on the high. Again, Amazon and Oracle. MSTR. I saw that one earlier running up. Again, Bitcoin's down, so today should be its day. Tesla, yeah. Airbnb's coming up. Again, Robinhood as well. Usually Palantir plays along. ACAM. There's a lot of names on the high. All right, we're moving on up. Coinbase teasing news in 15 minutes. And then we haven't filled the gap yet to the upside. Equal weight is down by 0.3, so it's doing a lot worse than the SPY, just by 0.25%. Again, oil came down after that move yesterday. And then where's our board? Gold. Gold. Oh, gold looks really good. My goodness. My goodness. Coinbase, we got some news in 15 minutes. Procter & Gamble ripping. Z-Lab, Roblo, 52-week high. Yeah, Procter & Gamble, and then Unity. And then J&J getting murked. Check news on that. You're getting, I don't know if it's all of them or not, but you got J&J knifing while P&G goes up. That could be something. Correction, Trump wants cheaper drugs like Europe, how it works. New data from a trial, Imbrumov. But yeah, J&J low, PG high, SPY going. Coinbase just tweeted that shit's about to come out. Yo, the shitty oracles actually fucking went up. No way. You could get a couple for free if you really wanted to. Or you just wait and hold and we keep getting lucky. Procter & Gamble. Disney now breaking out. Remember, don't sleep on Disney. It's at that breakout level. Again, that one, or it's like 122 really, but anytime you climb there. All right, you got 50% on the shittier racks, bro. ACH, I got rid of those yesterday. But that one hell's good. SPY's near the high. Iraq. Oh, which one? I was going to do something else. SMR. Trump is going to be at the G7, yes. What time is it? All right, 9 more minutes. I'll get you a checkup. We went down in the first. There's been a couple days. India, U.S. hardened stance on trade talks as July looms. But yeah, like I can't remember the last time we had a gap to fill that was up. I was like, wait, what do you mean? So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, bro, it's doing it, bro. It is doing it. The contracts are really weird, though. Oh, shit. All right, 100% on Iraq. The shitty ones work, bro. Nice. All right, I made it free. So I got all my money back. Yeah, I don't know how that worked, bro. Like I say, and I faded the ones with time. They cost too much money, and they barely moved. Go look. The July ones near the money moved. 2 of them did. The other ones didn't. But the shorter ones did. So I'm down, but got my 100%, make them free. Now we could play Ride the Wave. NRSN. Well, yeah, Oracle's at, this is an all-time high for him. DAL, iBiz, Bitcoin moving up again. The SPY is getting pretty active. But all the big tech, bro, you need those to play along. Again, Amazon was just working. They're about to go green. And Apple, no. They're just holding. Well, SPY's working up, but yeah, like I said, I can't remember the last time we had like your gap fill was to the upside. And then Pepsi, all right. You're only down 0.6 on the NASDAQ, 0.5. Again, Eco8's a little worse. And then small caps, Russell, all of that, they are not doing as well. All right, guys, not bad. Oh, that's the NVO. No, they're just chilling. MP on the high. BBG pumping Oracle. Nice. Well, you got your 100%. Do as thee pleases. Yeah, Walmart. It's weird. Walmart premiums from the other day are just holding. CoreWeave. Pepsi's near the high. Ooh, CoreWeave. Yeah, that didn't really go, but still 140. BWXT. All right, man. And do you guys notice bonds? So I guess that makes sense why you're kind of melting up. But yeah, bonds are up a decent amount there early. So bonds have sold off like half of the gains from the data. And now you're about to fill the gap. And we're above 6,000. That's a crazy part. So you didn't even go below 6,000. Tested the low of yesterday. And now you're about 2 points away from filling the gap. LMTs, well, remember, we got the conflict. And yeah, they were down yesterday on the F-35 news. I forgot about the wire. I think Tesla and Oracle does have some sort of deal. And remember, Oracle and TikTok, I can't believe it, bro. The shitty plays hit. So those are all going now. GG's if you got them. That was a earnings beat, but it was weird because in the morning these plays that we grabbed, like they weren't that juiced. They were just naturally expensive just by like the price level, like because it's a $200 stock, and then they were just a slow mover. NVT, Invent Electric. All right, SPY going lower. Okay, you're dropping a decent amount. They won't let those go for cheap. Oh! Horna! Bradley Frizzle and the Peach Nation. What did we do to be so blessed? Are you kidding me? Bradley Frizzle, Boeing, man. I know, bro. It's a sad day, Bradley Frizzle. Again, Bradley has been more consistent than the safety of Boeing planes. We've known this from day one. This is terrible. It's terrible, but we love you, Bradley Frizzle. I will look at Boeing now, but it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Stand up. I love it, baby. Thank you, my friend. Good morning. Let's see. Today's bond auction does still matter, yeah. Again, the market's been weird. Yesterday's auction was good, but they like to care about this shit, unfortunately. scammers, bro. All right. I made a play. You guys remember the watch list? It's related to that. When someone wants to start building a long-term and following along and start dabbling in trading, everything I've already said, you know, that's kind of what we do, but you just got to be careful with trading. That's all. And I think most people make the mistake of not having a real budget and discipline, and then they end up trading more than they're saving, which is kind of odd. But you make two separate accounts, one for stocks, one for real estate for trading and long term and for trading, and then you make sure you save actually in the long term. AMD popping off, and then you have you take 10% of your 10% savings, and you could trade with that. If you do that, you'll never blow up. You'll always win, and then your gains in the long term will actually make it where you are profitable, because it will be impossible to actually lose if you're only doing 10% of your 10%. So yeah, and just little by little, it's a mix of saving, separating, and again, time. Like, we're going really slow. That's what I'm saying, bro. It's crazy, because some of the changes I've made, I've been trying to tell you guys to just focus on the long term. And if you did this year, there was only 2 plays. And guess what? They both hit and they killed it. You're doing very good, but you just gotta wait. So good success rate, good gains, but takes a long time. And that's where, as long as you're patient and don't let the timing lead you to blowing yourself up and making mistakes, you'll be good. But it is a mix of both of these things. It's both trading and long term, and 10% of the 10%. ST on the high. Apple, nah. Those names I will buy when they come down. So be my guest if you guys want them, and don't get mad at me if they rip and you be like, you told me not to get it. No, I have a different strategy. Again, we are in the fucking lead. So I want good. I love Apple. I love those names, but I just want them at a lower price. We've gone over the long term many, many times, so I don't like explaining it over and over again, because I've learned that the ones that want it explained, they never really do it. But the ones that go and seek it themselves, they actually get it. So if you really want, I would listen over here. It'll be there, or go. And if you really have the desire, the main channel has all of the videos, a wealth of videos. And I even made one at the beginning of this year. Again, when I made less videos on the other channel to simplify this process. And like I'm saying, we simplified it. Only 2 plays this year. You'd be killing it. That's all you had to do. But if you want, and I broke down 10-year at the beginning of the year, I made a video explaining it all over. So yeah, check them out. FLX halted for volume. And then BWX, what's this? BingX? Pizza. RSLS on the high, whatever this is. Up 68, my goodness. Is it gonna overpower the dollar? I don't know. It's at the same level I told you guys at the beginning of the year when we first saw it, and we were just saying, remember, I think it ties into gold too, but it did break out and hit a new high. It was supposed to die from there. Every time the euro gets here in 25 years, it dies. But not now. So I think after that new high today, it makes it a little bit more different. Wells Fargo on the high. Again, other banks were moving. Yeah, I forgot. Bessent's live. Let me get him up. Where is this fool? How come I don't see him? I think he is. This one in front of Senate. Yesterday was the House. Yeah, I don't... It's like up, but not. Yeah.
Press China to open trade. Nevertheless, the primary purpose for today's hearing is to discuss equally two critical issues: the President's budget for fiscal year 2026, as well as ongoing tax reform efforts. The President's budget and economic agenda aim to put our country back on track by cutting wasteful government spending and unleashing economic growth, simultaneously boosting jobs, wages, and government revenue. The administration has made significant progress in reducing spending by streamlining processes and improving efficiencies across agencies, including the Internal Revenue Service. While some warned fiscal prudence at the IRS would harm tax collection, the opposite has proven true. Individual income and payroll tax receipts came in $120 billion higher this year, in line with Congressional Budget Office projections. These numbers are further evidence that Washington does not have a revenue problem, it has a spending problem.
Well,
a critical part of the President's agenda, and my top priority as Finance Committee Chairman, is to permanently extend the successful 2017 Trump tax cuts and prevent a more than $4 trillion tax hike on American families and workers. The 2017 Trump tax cuts increased investment, boosted economic growth, and allowed taxpayers to keep more of their hard-earned money. Far from a handout to the wealthy, the reforms lowered tax rates for Americans of all income levels, and middle-class families reaped the largest proportional benefits. If these tax cuts expire, all Americans will be hit with the largest tax hike in U.S. history. The majority of the increase will fall on those making less than $400,000 per year. The average family will see a $1,700 tax increase. Small business owners will lose both their lower rates and the small business deduction, facing rates up to 43%. Millions of families will see their child tax credit and their death tax exemptions cut in half. Republicans are committed to preventing this tax hike and making the 2017 tax cuts permanent while delivering additional tax relief to middle-class families. The House passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill was a significant achievement, and we're capitalizing on that momentum to deliver a bill to the President's desk as quickly as possible. This legislation recognizes that extending proven
Oh, yeah, I was muted. I was giving you guys the checkup. My bad. So SPY has 194 green, 305 in the red. NASDAQ 100, 48 green, 53 in the red. And then Dow Jones, 10 green, 20 in the red. So, and then, whoa, defensives are going. But yeah, the whole idea here, we just filled it. Equal weight's still lagging. But yeah, you have a lot of names still red. That's fuel to go green, or everybody still keeps the pressure and then we stay down. So be mindful. Be mindful. Ethereum going up. But yeah, it's right now. And then again, this is all still the
2022.
intro. But yeah, we
However,
have that pop. I
Congress
don't have a
must act
headline on
quickly
it.
to prevent an over $4 trillion tax hike on virtually all Americans, the largest in U.S. history. Moreover, Senate Republicans are committed to providing families and businesses the certainty they need to invest and plan for the future, as well as to provide additional middle-class tax relief and take steps to lower the
MSTR, you got a
deficit
couple chips.
with serious
Again,
spending
defensives, all the
reforms.
Bitcoin names.
This is the
chips,
best approach
Broadcom,
to
don't
restore
forget about
economic
Oracle still, too.
prosperity and opportunity for all Americans. Thank you again, Secretary Bessent, for being here today, and I look forward to our discussion. Senator Wyden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning's hearing could be the only opportunity Democratic senators have to question a top Trump official about the truly disastrous bill Republicans are writing behind closed doors. Robert Kennedy Jr. has been invited to appear. It looks like he's ducking us. Oz is waffling on the promise he made in this room to hear from rural Oregonians about this bill's catastrophic Medicaid cuts. There's a legislative wrecking ball about to devastate the lives of millions of Americans. That needs to be the focus of this hearing. While Senate Republicans are making these small tweaks to their bill, countless millions of people across
Broadcom's
the
still
country
climbing.
feel
Broadcom's
like
less than
they're
1% though.
on a knife's
So
edge.
it just looks bigger on your screen, big dog.
Nurses and firefighters.
But yeah, they're going up
teachers
again. I
and
think that's part of the
machinists.
Oracle.
They're living paycheck
They
to
go
paycheck,
hand in hand.
barely staying ahead of the bills. They're overworked and they're concerned about providing for their kids or caring for an older loved one. They see a rigged economy that creates enormous prosperity at the top, but denies it to nearly everybody else.
Okay, Microsoft.
The plan Donald Trump and Republicans are scrambling to pass is going to do virtually nothing for them. In fact, it would make their lives worse. It's no exaggeration to say the Republican plan would ruin millions of lives to help the ultra-wealthy buy yachts and vacation homes. Their bill isn't a tax and spending cut, it's a class war. It is caviar over kids. It is Mar-a-Lago over the middle class. The version that passed the House, the only text we have to go by now, since this is all unfolding in secret, includes the largest cuts to health care and food assistance in American history. More than $800 billion cut out of Medicaid. Nearly $300 billion cut from the Affordable Care Act. More than $500 billion
GLW.
in automatic cuts
Yo, what?
to Medicare.
That's a great American
Donald
name.
Trump
It's only
and
up by
Republicans
0.18 though.
to hide behind
Okay,
the flimsy
Amazon.
claim
We're
that
just
this
going
will
green
not
on the
cut
SPY now.
benefits
NASDAQ,
is
it wants to do it.
absurd. To say their bills
This is where you
protect
either go
seniors and
green
kids
or
and
we'll go
veterans
green
and
for a little
people
bit and
with
fade.
disabilities
But if
is
that could run from
absurd.
here, that'll be
It's
good.
insulting to the
We wait for the
intelligence
equal
of
weight.
millions
Euro's
of
leading
people who
though.
have health
Just like
insurance
yesterday,
today
I don't like the
and stand
currencies.
to lose it as a direct result of this bill. 16 million Americans lose their health care. Working class and middle class Americans will be ensnared in a thicket.
Damn, those
of red
oracles
tape,
went up 200%.
costing them their Medicaid and ACA benefits and making health
VST.
coverage entirely
Okay, SPY's working. NASDAQ
unaffordable.
green now.
This
Dow's
is
the only
going
one
to
lagging. Dow and
inflame
Russell.
the mental health crisis in America. It's going to set back our progress against fentanyl deaths. Kids with disabilities will lose home care and school-based services. The cuts are going to shutter rural hospitals and take nurses out of nursing homes, exposing seniors to abuse and neglect. My view is the $300 billion cut to SNAP can only be described as cruel. 2 million kids lose some or all of their food assistance they receive today. It's just unthinkable that elected leaders in a country as rich as
This guy
ours
owns
would
Pepsi.
knowingly inflict hunger on millions of kids. It'll set those kids back for years and years. A new study on the health issue found that the bill
Believe me,
will
bro.
cost
You guys just
thousands
didn't have
and
4 years
thousands
do
of
the
lives,
exact same thing
preventable deaths each
and not
year.
have any impact. I would be
Why
believing
make
you
that
right now.
choice?
But
Why
I'm
ruin
sorry.
all these millions
It's
of
hard.
lives by stripping away their health
Yeah,
insurance?
you know, it just doesn't
and
land
jacking
anymore.
up the cost of living.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
To
It's
pay
just so
for
different.
handouts to big
It's
corporations
like I get
and the
it,
wealthy.
and like I hear what you're
That
saying,
is an
but like
awful choice
y'all ain't.
that Donald Trump and
No.
Republicans have made. The bill gives big corporations $1 trillion in new tax breaks, and they're hiding the cost once again with budget gimmicks.
Oh, I need to
It
look
would
at the
give
calendar.
The top 0.1%
Let's see what we got for
earners a
events,
tax
bro.
break of more than $250,000 each year. Looking just at the tax changes, the typical lower income family would be lucky enough to cover groceries for a week in the Republican plan. 14 million families, particularly those of modest incomes, are going to get a tax increase. And when you factor in the Medicaid cuts, the food assistance cuts, and the tariffs that the Secretary who joins us today once denied American families would not pay, nobody outside the fabulously wealthy is going to benefit from the tax changes at all. That overall Trump agenda is
Okay, spies going. Again, look at the high ticker right now. It's kind of big tech-ish, but it's still kind of hard to get a read. Like I told you, just the smaller fraction, less than half of the names are green. So this is just everything that was red kind of getting the pump.
Each year to pay for tax breaks for corporations and the very rich. That's what Republicans have to offer. So this committee has a chance now to have a serious debate. I'm sure there are 1 or 2 people in the room who may share a different view than I do. Let's have a serious debate, because this is a watershed moment that's going to change our country for generations to come, and it should not be playing out in secret. And one last point I want to mention, Mr. Chairman.
Humanology,
questions about the process. We are asking for the kind of open markup, the kind of thing we did on clean energy taxes, where we debated in this room and elsewhere for
That's what I'm
hours
saying,
and
bro.
hours
The
and hours, and
audacity.
there were lots of
Do you know how much
amendments.
money they
Let's do that
spent
for the
on
big
clean
issues.
energy
We
shit
did it on clean energy.
that helped debase your currency and had zero impact on most Americans' lives, but you paid for it as a result of inflation?
The markup you're talking
You
about
remember
had
the
nothing to do
ESG
with what
scam?
went into the
And you guys remember when I would tell you
reconciliation
it's a scam, and then I would get in
the
trouble for
reconciliation
telling you
bills
that?
that were
And then
done
they funneled over $1
in the
trillion
last,
through environment
administration
and
were
social
done
governance.
exactly through the same
You guys don't
process
remember that?
we are pursuing today.
That's what I'm saying, and the fact he even brought it up after going on that whole rant about Republicans voting in for the rich. They just pretended last time, and then they don't walk around rich. All that money just went to anybody willing to fucking put up a windmill and people willing to play the fucking energy game.
I want to do
Trillion.
that. That's what my colleagues want to do.
It's ridiculous.
Well, as you can see, Mr. Secretary, there are
Again,
different
you all
points
paid
of
for
view
it.
up here.
Me too.
We're here to hear from you. We appreciate you being here with us, and you may proceed with your statement.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're still going.
Chairman Crapo, Ranking Member Wyden, and members of the committee. I'm grateful to join
Well,
you here
if I don't put up
Treasury is committed to working
audio,
with Congress
bro,
to improve our
after
nation's
looking at it,
finances,
this feels like a weird
create
cartoon.
new jobs, and
You
strengthen
had
the
Wyden
economy.
and fucking Count
We look forward
Chocula,
to coordinating
and now
with
I
you on
don't
the
see him, but then
President's
Bessent
budget
sound
and
like
his
the
tax
Grinch.
priorities in the coming
So like
weeks.
in my mind right
As
now,
part of
Count
this effort,
Chocula and the
I wish to
Grinch are
highlight
like coming
today
together
the
to
Treasury
do something.
Department's efforts
It's
to
trippy.
advance President Trump's economic agenda on tax
Oh,
and
no.
trade. First, tax. I'm pleased to report the Treasury has just concluded its most successful filing season in years. And we did so
I
while
said this
improving
yesterday.
efficiencies and cutting costs at the IRS. Critics of the president's
Okay,
efforts to modernize
Amazon's
the
kind of
IRS
tweaking.
warned that the
Like I'm saying,
effort would
NASDAQ
result
there,
in
Dow's starting to
10%
catch a bit as well,
shortfall in
too.
receipts.
OS.
Instead, the
Ooh,
opposite
on
happened.
stream, down 2.6 on a candle.
April receipts
That could
this
be
year
something.
were
It's a
up
liquid,
9.5%
so that could get
over the
unwound
previous
pretty
year,
quick,
and
but watch
receipts
that.
in May were up
QS.
14.7% over the previous year. Most remarkably, the president was able to achieve these
Okay, high
results
ticker running.
while reducing $20 billion in waste on planned IT
Okay,
spending
equal
at
weight
the
hasn't.
IRS.
Once equal, I think this will
success has
stop,
taken place
or you'll get
against the
resistance
backdrop
once
of one of
equal
the
weight
most
goes
consequential
break even.
tax proposals
Does that make sense?
ever to come before
So again,
Congress,
we haven't had a
the
headline
One
or
Big
anything. If it's
Beautiful
going to
Bill
keep
Act.
running,
The One Big
it'll probably
Beautiful
keep running,
Bill
and you'll get
will make the
resistance when equal weight comes
2017
up,
tax cuts
and then
permanent.
we'll
This will
reset and
provide
see where we're at.
individuals and businesses with certainty and build economic momentum. The legislation is clearly and squarely aimed at boosting the working and middle class and reinvigorating American manufacturing. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, the One Big Beautiful Bill will raise take-home pay between $7,800 and $13,300 for the average family of four.
Yeah, he pumped it.
It will increase wages.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, ironically,
to
they do bring up some of the truth.
Worker,
they are cutting SNAP benefits, so that will affect people. But remember, they're going after the SNAP benefits and like healthiness. That's why Pepsi's been clapped. That's why I said when he said that, yeah, he sounds like he cares about the people, but he probably also owns Pepsi.
As well as existing
going a little bit
that expand operations.
And then Boeing on the hot. How do they kill people? They go up.
And it will streamline
I know, man. Welcome.
Processes that often stand in the way of new manufacturing products. It's time for this country to start building things again, and the One Big Beautiful Bill makes this possible. The administration is grateful for the House's efforts to advance the One Big Beautiful Bill. We now look forward to working closely with this committee and other members of the Senate to get this legislation to the President's desk. Second, trade is the second topic I wish to highlight. The progress we have made on tax issues over the last 4 months complements the significant progress we have made in rebalancing the global economy. Since I last testified before Congress in May, the President announced an historic
the high ticker is fully gassed right now.
This arrangement, which creates a $5 billion export opportunity for American ranchers, farmers, and manufacturers, is a preview of what's to come. Dozens of countries have engaged the administration thus far with offers to improve their trade relations with the
I just
United
think
States.
people need to
This
understand
Yesterday,
the
in
flow of
early
info
hours
and
of the
effect
morning,
on
I returned
prices.
from successful
That's why, like, when
negotiations
something
in
bad
London with the
happens,
Chinese delegation.
it has the impact initially, and then it takes time to work through. I'll give you an example. Late last night, I was thinking about a diamond, right? And I'm like, wow, in the long term. And then I start looking at my long term, and then I cackle like Kamala. I do. I'm telling you, it's so bad. But other than that, I was thinking if FedEx is popping, I was thinking about it because I was like, well, what happens like if I need a diamond? Like, what would it look like? And I was thinking about it because, like, essentially what would happen, imagine there's like a good name we want, right? And then bad news happens. Let's say Apple, someone asked me about that. Let's say Apple has the worst news ever, right? And then we wake up and it drops 10% because of the bad news. Are we going to buy it that same day? Yes or no? Let's see. This is what I'm trying to. This is where you could learn a lot. So Apple drops 10%. They find out that Tim Cook works for China. Stock is down 15% in one day. Do I buy it that day? Carney sees progress in trade talks between U.S. and Canada. Yeah, no. Exactly. Wait a couple days. Because what's going to happen, it has to work through. So it'll probably, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, well, even if the diamond happened and there's bad news and it brings the name down, it's going to work through. Everyone's going to be like, I agree, I disagree. Money goes to buy, money goes to sell. And then it's going to take time to like really set up that opportunity. Same thing when bad and good stuff happens. Just like the pizza buyout, watch, give it a couple days. People have to work through it. Again, Boeing plane just falls out the sky. That's bad. And it's bad now. It drops 7%, goes up 3-4% in the day. Give it a couple days. You see what I'm saying? But that's why people get frustrated with big events. That it takes time. You need to get. That's what I realized. I was like, man, we are just so impatient. Because even I get impatient. Because it's like you have to wait. You have to wait a long time. Not a long time, but you just got to give it time to work through the event and let people move it around. Some instances, if it's not material, that only happens for a day. It wasn't really real. But if there is like a real pricing, a real thing, you got to give it some time. And so it's like you don't need to be that fast when it's all said and done. And that's why, too, if you ever see something bad happen and you're not on the first move, you let it kind of develop, because it's not always like, things don't materialize just right away. So yeah, I hope that helps. Y'all
able to deal with this, and I was very pleased to hear your report.
Dude, those
on
oracles hit. I can't believe it.
My first question gets to the tax reform issue that you've already referenced. as you know and can tell from what's already been said today.
Yeah, the Boeing one's
there
serious,
are two very
though, because you
different
guys know
views
that plane
as to
has
what
never
it is
crashed.
that we are doing. Nobody can
so
deny,
the
though,
787
that our top
Dreamliner
focus is to
never
extend
crashed
the
before.
tax code
It was always the
and
MAX.
Tax Cuts and Jobs Act
That's what
from
makes it kind of
2017.
interesting.
Could you tell us for just a minute what would happen if Congress does not extend the 2017 tax code?
Oh, the economy crashed.
Senator, I believe it would be what is known in economics
Yeah,
as a
UNH
sudden
is a
stop.
perfect example. 100%.
It would be cataclysmic for the economy.
And that
if
situation's not
this is
even resolved yet.
extended. And, as always, working Americans would bear the brunt. There would be job losses, economic
I only saw
losses
one
in
video of the
markets,
crash. There's only one
a
video.
substantial
That's what's so
increase
weird.
in
And no one's even like talking about it.
in our budget deficit due to
I
a
already know what he's going to
decrease
say.
in
But you guys remember what I was telling you at the start of the week or last week? Yeah. I know.
Let's talk about what would happen if we do extend the TCJA and the other pro-growth provisions that we have in the legislation that we are working on right now. Can you talk about the importance of the pro-growth tax provisions, the economic impact,
yeah, there
and
is
some of the
another video.
existing some of the existing and new provisions will have on workers?
Yes. So first, let's examine the extension and permanence of the TCJA. Making this permanent will give an economic impetus to the U.S. economy as households and businesses have greater certainty. I've met with numerous business leaders since I
It
was
crashed in
confirmed
India,
on
but it was
January
headed towards
28th.
London.
And while they are confident that the bill
Oh,
will
yeah,
pass,
bro, it just didn't
without
lift
100%
off.
surety, they
They,
are
like,
holding
stalled
back
that
on their
takeoff.
capital expenditure plans. Even last week, they told me that there is a substantial planned increase that will be in capital expenditures that will be unleashed by U.S. and foreign corporations that will benefit American workers. In terms of households, we will see the continued increase for working Americans from TCJA, which led to strong non-inflationary growth, as opposed to what we saw during the Biden years of substantial inflation. Furthermore, the president's proposals for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, making auto loans deductible for new American cars, and tax savings for seniors will benefit working Americans and the bottom 50% of wage earners. So it is a unique combination that it will provide
high ticker again.
business stimulus.
You just started going down, but then you got a
provide
burst of
substantial
a couple
relief
names
to
going
the
up.
affordability crisis that has been generated over the past 4 years.
Palant on the low, Boeing's coming
Thank you.
back
Finally,
down.
my last question is, critics have recently as just now, called this bill a tax cut for billionaires. Even when the data shows that the middle-income families benefited the most from the Trump tax cuts and have the most to lose if they expire. Can you tell us what the benefits of this legislation are for working families who are still recovering from the cost of record inflation under the administration?
Yes, sir. They will, as I
Okay, bonds
outlined in
lower,
my
SPY's
opening
going to break
remarks,
out again.
they
I don't
will
know if
see
equal weight came back
substantial,
up. Yeah, look,
increases
like I told you, right when it
in
gets
their
equal weight break
household
even, we're going to
income.
get some
And
resistance
more
and then either resume or
they
go
will
down.
see
So it's going up. If that
real
could hold,
wage
bonds go
growth
lower. That'll be good.
As they did under TCJA in 2018
Yeah, if you buy a new
2019,
car that's made in America, the
going
interest on
into
the loan will be a
January
tax write-off,
2020,
which is great.
Pre-COVID, when
But the car
hourly
has to be
workers
made in
did
the
better than
US.
Supervisory workers, the bottom 50% of working Americans had household net worth increases that were substantially
banks, and then
in
Boeing
excess
is coming
of
down
the
again.
top 10% and 1% household increases.
And you may not have this data at your fingertips, but my recollection is that at that time, as a result of the TCJA, the lower and middle income families had a higher percentage rate of income growth than did the wealthy. Do you have that statistic at your?
I don't have it here, but that's captured in what I said, where hourly workers did better than supervisory workers. So the benefits inure to the bottom 50% of wage earners. Right, much greater than much greater than the top 10%.
All right. Thank you very much. Senator Wyden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Secretary, around here we use the Joint Committee on Taxation
this guy is just...
to analyze key legislation. And they took a look at the House bill, the bill that you and the administration are in favor of. And the Joint Committee on Taxation found that under the House bill, high earners who bring in several $1 million a year will get tax breaks of $250,000. This comes from the people that we asked to do the analysis. So if we got to make choices, who are you with? Are you with those high earners that the Joint Committee on Taxation found? Or do you think it's more important that 2 million hungry kids in America have enough to eat?
Senator, I think you're playing a game of semantics here. You're using absolute...
Well, why don't you just answer the question?
Why don't you ask an honest question?
Because Committee on Taxation,
we are talking absolutes, and the answer is percentages. With TCJA, the top 10% share of taxes went from 37% to 45%.
I asked a very simple question based on the independent scorekeepers about who you value, and you're not responding, and I guess that's your constitutional right. Let me move on to tariffs. So
I guess that's your constitutional
at your nomination
right.
hearing, I asked you whether Americans would pay the blanket tariffs that President Trump wanted to impose, and you said no. Now, since then, a number of analysts have said these tariffs are going to hit American families like a wrecking ball, something like $2,500 a year. Major companies like Walmart, Mattel, and Ford have all suggested they're going to need to raise consumer prices as the tariffs hit them. Some companies have already had to raise prices, like Stanley Black and Decker. So here's what you said. Nobody's making this stuff up. Here's what you said. Walmart will be absorbing some of the tariffs. Some may get passed
or
on
if Oracle
to
holds 200, it'll be
Your
great.
Words.
Again, those premiums actually
another
hit.
Chance on the issue.
I'm shocked.
Do American consumers pay the tariffs?
Again, Senator, you're cherry picking because Walmart makes decisions based on their customers. Two other very large retailers.
Homeboy,
this is not an advertisement.
You've
for
asked
them.
me every
Amazon
day, and I've
Home
literally
Depot
like
have
clapped
chosen
you every
not
time
to
you've
pass
asked.
on tariffs.
And you haven't noticed?
There seems to be a new version of TDS.
And I told you gotta like focus up on it.
Syndrome.
You don't even notice that yet?
Many on your side seem disappointed that there is no inflation today.
Let me get $100.
Matter of fact, we
got
saw
100
the
on
best inflation number since 2020. So there has been nothing passed on. There has been no tariff recession. So no inflation, no recession due to tariffs.
So let the record show that once again,
let the record show.
The Secretary of Treasury doesn't think American consumers are paying the tariffs. We say to all those people who are trying to pay medical bills and food bills and the like that are still going up, they know they're paying
MVO premiums are finally fucking
I'm sorry, Senator, but
it's my time, Mr. Secretary.
I'm sorry, Senator, but the data doesn't show that.
Okay. We can have a difference of opinion. The Senate is coping with healthcare choices that are enormously important.
You guys heard me say the Oracle play. I didn't tell you the exact play, but you heard me telling you how much I liked it. And then I said I couldn't find July's, and then you heard me tell you I bought a shitty one, right?
The largest single
yeah, those all went up 300%.
The largest industry?
The sector, yes.
I would assume it would be agriculture.
It is rural healthcare.
I'm not even supposed to tell
you
the place.
All of us up here disagree so strongly with what this administration, is doing. And the tax bill is going to accelerate the closure of rural hospitals. People who basically are the key to surviving in rural, life. And our colleagues, Senator Markey,
it's good enough,
Senator
man.
Schumer are going to release new
all
data
you've given me is thank yous, and you listen. So I don't even want anything from you, dog. I appreciate you.
Bill, which apparently you guys don't know is going to clobber
bonds on the low. You're still at the
rural America.
This is pretty much equal weight resistance point. You're a little bit above it.
To make changes to protect a crucial area of the American economy. In fact, I think it is fair to say almost all of us up here, the chairman and I, for example, we have the honor to represent a big chunk of the rural West.
Iraq.
And I want to know if you're willing to make changes so that we can protect the economic survival of these rural communities, which means their hospitals.
We are quite satisfied with the healthcare portion of this and the adjustments to Medicaid.
I would just say to colleagues, my time is up. When you're home over the break and the like, ask your rural hospitals if they're satisfied with what they're going to get in the House changes, because I think they'll tell you they feel like they're going to get hit by a wrecking ball, and that'll happen in Kansas and Oregon and all across the land. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Bennett.
Lindar on the
Mr.
high.
Chairman.
That's
you,
the
Mr.
first high
Secretary,
today.
for coming in today.
And Ethereum moving.
And thanks for having this hearing. Secretary Bessent,
Lindar.
the last time you were here, I asked you about your emphasis on domestic discretionary funding.
Yeah, big
in
bond
your
auction today, 30
opening
years. It's not even that
You
big,
had
but
stated, quote,
everybody's
we
just
must
hyping it
adjust
up.
federal domestic discretionary spending to get our fiscal house in order while striking an urgent tone on our growing deficit. I mentioned to you then that domestic discretionary spending is only 15% of our budget. And I think if you were serious about deficit reduction,
Pizza.
you might
Pizza
not
just
push
got a
for
candle
tax
and
cuts
chilled.
that almost certainly
Chime
could not
shares
be offset
indicated at
by
38, priced at
discretionary
27.
adjustments alone.
EMN.
And now, of course, we know
Okay,
you
bro,
can't.
a lot of stuff's going. You're still
today we
you're
actually
ripping
have the details
every
of your
single
plan.
level.
Take health
I mean,
care
again,
from
you
10
could have got
million
resistance here, but you're still above 60. This is a big, bro, like 60, 30.
Coloradans.
So
Cut
anything above
nutrition
33,
assistance for
we
millions
open back
of
up to the
adults.
40s and then 50s and then the
Sunset
previous
clean
high.
energy,
But yeah, you've already
investments
recovered like half
that
of
are
yesterday.
So critical to the American West. Give over 40% of the tax benefits of this bill to the top 5%. And it's not even close to being paid for. Even my colleagues on the Republican side, who for years and years and years have claimed to be the fiscally responsible party, now are admitting that it's not paid for. This bill adds another $2.4 trillion to our national debt. It will push the deficit.
I'll tell you, you guys
want
to hear some crazy shit?
7%, which you said when you were here before was
I got some crazy
unsustainable,
shit, bro.
far from the 3% target.
I was thinking
that you
last night.
described.
You know, I love
If you look
thinking,
at your
bro.
proposals taken
Do you want me to
together,
tell you?
there is no getting around
I
the
challenged my own thought
there is
yesterday.
no getting around the fact that the richest Americans receive an average tax cut of $300,000, which again we're not paying for with the discretionary cuts that you advertise. So once again, we will.
All right. You already know how this is going to play out. I'll tell you, viewer discretion is advised. Okay? Viewer discretion is advised for what I am about to say. All right? Because I was thinking about it. And all this spending, they're hell-bent on it. I keep reminding you guys, I'm like, bro, this is going to be, this is it, bro. Like, once we get the bill, this is the difference between holding up the economy or not. So let me ask you guys this before I tell you what I'm about to tell you. How many of you, like, really believe in AI? Like, no. Listen, do you guys believe in AI or not? Like, how many of you really believe? Like, who believes? Like, really believe? Like, let me ask you this. Like, do you believe in AI? Do you believe in the future of AI? Like, really believe? I need an answer right now. Do you really believe in the future of AI? Like, do you really believe? Like, stop it. I hate this question because I asked this to mother effers with Jesus and I know they lie. I mean, real belief, brother. Like, real, like, bro, are you willing to bet everything on it? That's what I'm trying to, listen. Are you willing to put everything on it? That's what I'm telling you. Like, right now, like, bro, right now, you pull out a gat on me and you say, Josh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna clap you, Josh. Deny the Lord. I say, nope, I say, nope, I'm not doing that. I'll bet my life on it. I promise you. So would you bet everything on AI? And SPY's hitting a new high. No, I'm being dead serious, dude. Being dead effing serious. You have no idea. Okay. So here's the train of thought. This is from your boy yesterday. Who was it? Not Gunlock. Oh, who was the guy who spoke? One of the billionaires yesterday. And he was talking about all we need, once we replace Powell, we get 100 basis points cut off the rates. Because think about it. Whoever Donald Trump replaces him with, that motherfucker's going to cut. You get what I'm saying? But guess what? Here's the deal. I used to, most of my life, I cared about a rate cut because I'm a trader and I know how to make money off of low rates, right? That's how I made my fortune. Thank you, Janet Yellen, and quantitative easing and MMT. I appreciate you. But at the end of the day, this time around, our rates are fucking up the deficit. Like I'm saying, $1 trillion a year. You cut rates, even if you do it a year from now when Powell leaves, if you aggressively cut rates, that changes all of these deficit projections. Do you realize that? At least by $1 trillion. That's a lot. So, dude, this is just an all-in bet on AI. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't like this spending. But then I'm like, even if we stop the spending and you did the unpopular thing, if the next people fuck it up anyways, it doesn't matter. Even if you try to save now, it's like the motherfucker who weighs 900 pounds and he's like, I'm going to have sugar-free soda. It's like, what the fuck you mean? You need to do way more than sugar-free soda. Right? That's how I view the deficit right now. So even though I hate the spending, there was a part of me last night that just said, well, if you do lower the rates, and then if you fucking bet all in on AI, low rates, knock off $1 trillion or so, fucking 10 trillion over 10 years, and then you actually get real growth out of AI, it's a problem. That's what I'm saying. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The spending is a problem. It's massive. If it doesn't work, we're fucked. Do you understand that? That's why it's like, well, if you bet it all on this, if we lower the rates and then we go ham on the AI and it pays off with growth, that's it. We just grew ourselves out of a fat hole. Otherwise, we go through with this spending bill, even with lowering rates, and it doesn't work, that's it. We're done. It's fucked. And then the problems get passed down, and it just, whatever we had now, following 4 years of Biden, you're going to magnify that to a whole nother level. So a part of me is like, well, fuck it. The next guys aren't going to lower it. Even if we try to have austerity now, it's like Fatty trying to get a sugar-free soda. It doesn't make sense, and it's not going to really have the longevity impact. I'm like, well, if the AI does work and we do lower the rates, I'm kind of down with this spending, but I still kind of hate it. So yeah, but there is an element where, to a certain degree, bro, this is an all-in bet on AI. I don't know if you guys have realized it by now. Because even then, the AI, bro, we were in the doldrums of the stock market when AI came around. I don't know if y'all recall. So yeah, I think it's fascinating, but there is a bone of me that could find a way to justify the spending. But no matter what, Mike, the consequences are still heavy. Do you see that? Shout out to Philo and understanding, and we've talked a lot about consequences even during Biden. But that's what I'm saying, is like, no matter what, the consequences are big. That's the part about it, whether it works, whether it fails, whether you spend the bill, whether you spend it or not. It's just like, there's heavy consequences in terms of economy, the future, everybody else. Yeah, T-Mobile, they got a breach. So again, you guys know the vibe with breaches. It's going to be very hit or miss. If it's a big one, those will flush, you'll get paid. Otherwise, it'll last for a couple minutes, and then that's it. And then NVO, again, NVO premiums. And then Bobo, 64 million records. So yeah, I'll throw that in there while we're going to hear them argue about it.
That message, the better the economy would be. Now I want to go to something that is of an interest to farmers, and I know you have said several times your interest in agriculture. The Senate Finance Committee has been working on the
take risks
what will
in its
soon
interface,
be
kind of, but
45Z
this kind of just
clean
reminds me
fuels
of being at the
production
casino.
tax credit. Implementing
and then you
this
lose,
credit properly
and then you double
is
your bet,
important for the biofuels
and then you
industry,
lose, and you
and
quadruple your
especially
bet,
for farmers.
then
the
you
Biden
lose,
administration
and now we're 8
failed
times
to
in our bet.
meaningfully
If this
address
doesn't work,
the
we're really,
45Z
really down.
Regulations. They put some
If it
out
works,
for
we go back to break even.
Comment, but
That's
not much beyond that.
Ta-da!
But the regulations that release for the 40B sustainable aviation fuel
I don't think
credit
Wendy's could take them over.
demonstrated
Wendy's, I
that
don't know if they have
Treasury
the debt
officials
capacity.
in that administration knew nothing about farming. Prior to issuing rules governing 45Z, we need everybody in the Trump administration to take the time to learn a thing or two about farming, how farming works. So this is kind of a question of working ahead, looking after the president signs his bill and regulations are going to be written on 45Z. Would you be willing to work with congressional
UNH
colleagues,
315,
farmer-led organizations, and even this senator to make
CVS
sure that
as
we
well,
get
and
regulations
Elevance. Hold
under
up.
45Z
The whole
that
industry.
work for farmers.
Senator, as I had my initial meetings
all
back
these
in
healthcare names
January
are coming
with
up,
both yourself
from
and
Humana all the way down to
Senator
UNH,
Marshall, you both
and
brought up
CVS.
45Z, and as I mentioned, I go home and do my homework, so I'm familiar with it. I look forward to working with your office and making sure that it is implemented in the most robust way, but that it does not allow for foreign actors to have a backdoor into the program.
Okay, thank
Danny
you very
here
much.
on the high.
A little bit, probably getting back to the conversation you just had with the senator from Colorado. The 2017 tax law provided tax relief across all incomes with a focus on the middle class. Just as important, the law included pro-growth reforms to incentivize business investment, boosting production, and leading to higher wages. A study published by the National Bureau of Economic Research found in 2017 the law boosted investment 20%. What will making the 2017 tax law permanent mean in terms of economic growth, job creation, and wage growth? That's got to be my last question.
Senator, I believe that the full expensing was one of the most powerful aspects of TCJA.
I've read that one. I like it. The play's just up. But I think you're totally
over the
right.
past few years.
I remember
going
when
back
I
to
was a kid, though, that was an
100%
issue.
expensing for
The
equipment.
arches.
And what we
So,
have
yeah,
added to the bill,
I just think Stryker's really
will be very
expensive.
powerful.
But if that
is
ever
the
came
full
down, I'd love
expensing
it. I love
of
it.
Factory
So
structure.
good idea.
So
Great
not
idea.
Only do we
just
want
it's
to
a high
make
price.
the U.S. the best place to do business in terms of energy dominance.
I think
in
the
terms
BBB
of
is going to
regulation,
pass,
We are
sadly.
also going to increase the after-tax return on capital.
Because like I'm saying, bro, it was all, I think they did this purposefully because you should have had sticker shock right when it came out, and nobody did. I was literally one of the only few who was like, hey guys, and then Elon a month later, but I've been hearing them, bro, and you hear what they're saying. They're saying the economy dies without it, and they're not leaving any room to not pass it. I think even then they're willing to give the damn Democrats almost $1 trillion of SALT deductions just to get it through. So it looks like it's gonna happen, but there might be some changes and some other ads. Yo, Zillow. Oh yeah, and I have crazy real estate data if you guys would like. I finally I got my shit.
$10 in oil.
Yeah, Zillow's getting big
billion.
volume. High ticker's
That
really
funded
running.
Hamas, that funded Hezbollah, that funded the Houthis, that continued to be able to equip the Russians with Iranian weapons to be able to attack the Ukrainians. This administration has been pretty clear on trying to
Cardinal.
be more aggressive.
Cardinal's at an event. That's
Iran,
why I put him up earlier.
Because of their nuclear program. We've had a report come out just
I think
in the
they'll
last
make
24
changes,
hours
but not
from the
too
International
many.
Atomic Energy Agency.
And if they're going to make changes, it's going to be
Iran
whatever
has
they
about
want to
900
approve it.
pounds now of highly enriched uranium, and they seem to be not slowing down at all in their nuclear weapons program. What is your plan at this point for preventing Iran from advancing economically until they stop their nuclear weapons program?
So, Senator, since I arrived in the Treasury building, we have implemented a maximum pressure strategy on Iran, and more importantly, those who trade with them. We have taken many unique steps towards sanctioning, could be something that had never been done before, refiners in China, private companies called teapot refiners. We are also looking to sanction the owners of the refiners and their families if they have property in the U.S. or Western Europe. Just this morning, before coming here, I signed 2 more Iranian sanction orders. So we are exercising maximum pressure. We are trying to track down their so-called shadow fleet, because what happens with sanctions, when you put on sanctions, you create a new market elsewhere. Right. So each time we make a move, they try to subvert it. Our allies in the Middle East, during my trip with the president there, I had substantial discussions with their finance ministries and central banks, and they have been very helpful in making sure that there is no leakage through other Middle Eastern banks, trading companies, or financial entities into the Iranian regime.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing that. You and I, when we first met, we talked a lot about sanctions and that authority. It has great impact if you use it wisely. And thanks for a wise use of that. I was in the Middle East 2 weeks ago. In fact, the week after you were in the Middle East, I met with multiple heads of states throughout the entire region. And what
you could go look at it, but here's one of them. But yeah, so like, you know how I got all this, I've been getting a lot of like volume data. Well, now I have a way to track REITs, and any pretty much public company buying real estate, we could track it. As well as I got a lot more, I got real-time data now on some other real estate like trends. So it's tied to a scraper. It's kind of crazy. But long story short, I'll show you one. I posted another one on Twitter. Witkoff plans to travel to Muscat. But yeah, here. Welcome to 2025. So do you see this pink one? This is year over year change. This is going down. This is going up. So there's one market in America. Real estate has been just ripping. Which one is it? We've talked about it. And then there's one that is doing terrible. Literally, right when Trump won, it just dumped. Yeah, SPY's still holding up. I can pull up BlackRock. I could get up all of the property transactions in real time. It's crazy because some of them, what I'm doing is I'm tracking the cheap ones. Because I notice like they're buying like $50 million, $100 million houses and properties. But then I look to the low end and I'm like, bro, there's some of these guys are buying $500,000, $600,000 ones that I thought were really interesting. So yeah, the pink one is New Jersey. So remember, we've been talking about low inventory. Well, look, it stands out. Pink is New Jersey. They're number one right now on the year. And then actually, who's the green? This one. This is a new one. Someone just took the lead in May or June. Do you know who that green one is? So this one's kind of interesting. I think it could be related to China. Boston, Massachusetts, Cambridge. Ain't that funny? And then the people who did bad, it was San Francisco. So this was San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, literally plummeted. The new leader is Boston, but then throughout most of the year, huge jump through New Jersey. But yeah, there's a lot of data there. So, and then I had another one. Oh. Yeah, like, and you could kind of see it. It's still on this chart. But you see this one? Because someone asked me about St. Petersburg in Florida. You see that? That light green, before San Francisco and Oakland bottomed out, it was St. Petersburg, Florida. And then, believe it or not, this is Phoenix. So Phoenix got pretty bad, and then it kind of stabilized, and then now we're here. So, decent. But yeah, I think even then, most of these are all related to inventory. Look at this list. Most of them are all of the places that I've told you about. Again, Arizona, Florida, Nevada, then Georgia, and then Texas, North Carolina. I'm surprised the California ones, though. Carlsbad, San Diego, they got clapped. Oklahoma's back to green. Oh, yeah. And then I have one more. So, are you ready for this? I posted this on Twitter. Do you guys know what this is? This is showing you properties. These are all properties. What are they? So this is what we could track too. It's kind of crazy. Top general Iran report is troubling.
$4 trillion hit to U.S. home values looming, again, as a result of this same cascade that was originally, I think, best originally presented by the chief economist for Freddie Mac, who said when climate risk gets uninsurable, then mortgages become unavailable, and property values
I gave it away by posting
crash.
The ticker.
And his prediction was that would cascade into a 2008.
Yeah, this is data centers. Isn't that crazy? So most of the data centers right now are on the East Coast. And then you have them all spread out throughout. But yeah, these are all data centers. So again, we could track companies opening, buying. If you wanted to know for real estate, if you're trying to make a play on there, you could literally hone in and see where transactions are occurring and where. But now you could kind of get a scope. I mean, this is the future we're talking about. This is what everyone's investing in. You could literally see where the investments are. Ta-da! So yeah. I'm gonna go pee now. Follow me on Instagram at the Trading Fraternity. Real Code News on Twitter.
In the world, $1 trillion company with enormous stakes in getting stuff right in the insurance world. And one of their board members wrote an article that I would also commend to you and your team, highlighting the danger to the very insurance model from climate risk, highlighting the danger to the real estate model from failure in the insurance model, and also predicting damage in the financial system, both from the cascade of insurance to mortgage to values to the financial system, but also because a great number of transactions in the financial system are held together by an insurance component that would no longer be available. And I would commend that piece to your attention. And most recently, Fitch has just warned of danger to mortgage-backed bonds and municipal bonds coming from this climate risk, where the mortgages lose. We saw before 2008 what happens when mortgages lose their value because the underlying property isn't worth it. Then it was because they'd faked the value of the underlying property. Now it's because natural causes are knocking down the value of those properties irrecoverably in the case of, for instance, sea level rise. So, I just am continuing to make this warning. I think these are really serious. I come from a coastal state. When you have storm warnings, you should pay attention. When there's storm clouds on the horizon, you should pay attention. So please take a look at those different articles that I've just mentioned. Your team is there to take notes. You've got the tape of this if you're interested. And have your federal insurance office and the Treasury Insurance Office take a look at this. And if you think that this is all wrong, if you think that climate change isn't real or is a hoax, if you think that it's not having an effect in insurance markets, if you think that that doesn't affect mortgage markets, or that the unavailability of a mortgage doesn't damage the value of a middle-class home, or that regional hits to real estate values aren't going to cause recession, then I'd like to have that argument, that conversation with you. But if you agree with me that those things are all both true and predicted, then I think we have to prepare. And I would urge you to prepare.
Good. Thank you, Senator. We likely agree on the direction, maybe not the magnitude. And I also believe that resiliency must be a component also, and we should move toward greater resiliency.
If you don't mind, when your team have had a look at those 5 articles that I mentioned, and you've got somebody who's on point on this issue, I'd like to have the opportunity to have a conversation with them.
I'd be happy to, and we have frequent interactions with the 50 state insurance regulators as part of the Financial Stability Oversight Council.
Senator Cassidy.
Hey, Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Mr. Secretary, I want to start off with something called historic tax credits. Your hometown, Charleston, I suspect, has used HTCs. One of my hometowns, New Orleans, really took some buildings which had historic significance, catalytic upon redevelopment, into making an area of the town that was declining into something which was vibrant. I think I've seen that there's a 5-to-1 ratio of federal investment. So you put up $1, you get $5 leveraged in private investment in terms of the revitalization of a community. But the HTC hasn't improved for about 40 years since it was put in place by President Reagan, and has lost about 25% of its value over the last decade, so I'm trying to reform it. Any thoughts about, any experience with HTCs, and any thoughts about that and its importance in terms of achieving a more prosperous economy?
Sir, I have seen since my childhood, Charleston go from a small coastal town to the #1 tourist attraction in America, or destination, for I think a record 10 years by travel magazines. So I agree with you, and my team would be happy to work with you on technical assistance for modifications and how to make this better and increase that multiplier effect.
Sounds great. From your lips to the chairman's ears. Now on 45V hydrogen credits, Louisiana has about $42 billion in hydrogen-related investments due to the 45V credit. But the Biden administration kind of messed us over, in the sense they said you can't
IMF says U.S. trade deals with China and UK may be positive for activity. Welcomes Argentina financial minister.
So this is just a request.
And then Void
if
G,
Congress
that's the
maintains
IPO
the
from
45V
yesterday.
credit, can I ask you to commit to working with our office to address the kind of negative treatment that the previous administration did upon blue hydrogen, and something which industry really wants and is using in a variety of ways?
We would be happy to work with your office on that, Senator.
Thank you. You may be familiar with the next from South Carolina, but there are some multi-generational forest landowners, and they will have a tree near the end of its life cycle of growing, ready to be chopped, maximal value, and then a hurricane goes through, a flooding event goes through, forest fire, you name it, and they lose the
slab
value
apple takeover.
Their insurance doesn't cover the
silicone
value.
It's not moving.
It covers the initial value way back when. And so it's not really the way
big
to
buyout
product.
Candidate, all future.
Okay,
it's an opinion article. Be careful. It might move, but it's not a deal.
Correct this oversight. So as we face both wildfire.
Okay, spy ripping again. You got IMF comments, but I think it's just natural. Again, like we talked about,
if you can help us,
you recovered half of yesterday. You're at the open, and then again, you're 19 points off of the all-time high, or the recent
Senator,
high.
I'm unfamiliar with that bill, but it makes sense that embedded gains should be insured, so my team will be happy to work with you.
Thank you very much. One thing I've been very interested in is, and a different tact, is how our federal agencies are using computers, oftentimes with the computer language COBOL.
Explores a stable
I studied
coin.
COBOL
Spy
in
ripping.
1979 at LSU, and the federal government's still using it. Like the federal government's the only industry that's still using COBOL.
Yeah, bro, everything going up.
And
Banks.
contracts were let, and 3 years later,
Microsoft now. Microsoft's up 1%. Google's still down. Amazon's ripping. This is big tech right now.
Doing, and I believe this.
And then J&J Bleximib combo data shows promising anti-leukemic activity.
Somebody who's previously done it.
Okay, Oklo, TSM.
The kind of technical update.
Man, you're getting IMF headlines, but none of them.
Senator,
This is just,
I learned COBOL
you just went 10 points. It correlates, but I don't think it's off of the headline.
And I will tell you that these tech updates are both
Elon
shocking
Cybercab in Paris.
Their efficiency.
Is that like a rap song?
In the waste that is.
Ball so hard, motherfuckers want to autopilot. But first, they got to autopilot. What 50,000 Teslas to a billionaire like Elon? Can you please remind me?
Tech update in
autopilot so hard, this shit crazy. Y'all ain't know what I shit, lady. Has Waymo go 0 for 82, and I look at.
We may be approaching $50 billion. $3.5 billion per year is spent.
Surprised it's not moving off that.
There is no end in sight.
And Constellation, again, energy.
To have that system off of COBOL and into a workable modern programming language by the end of this administration.
Praise God. Thank you,
Amen.
sir.
Senator Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, always good to see you. Thank you for your service and your busy travel schedule. You know, if it's me, I'm going to raise an issue that I share with a lot of folks on this committee, but particularly my friend, the chair, around CDFIs. You know, Senator Crapo, who is the co-chair of the CDFI caucus, you know, broadly bipartisan. We got 28 senators, equal number of Ds and Rs. You know, this should be a no-brainer. And I appreciate in private and in these testimonies that you've reaffirmed the values of CDFIs. So I was more than a little bit surprised, since we get an 8-to-1 leverage off of every federal dollar that goes into this public-private partnership, when the administration's fiscal year 26 budget seeks to cut the CDFI programs by over 50%, number one. And at the same time, the Department Treasury seems to be slow-walking the deployment of the existing 25 funds, since 75% of them have not been that the appropriated funds have been actually obligated and spent out. So first question should be a really easy no-brainer. Can you go ahead and commit, yes or no, that the administration will follow the law and go ahead and obligate the unspent 75% of the fiscal year 25 CDFI funds?
Senator, this is the first I heard of it. I will commit to having an answer to you.
Well, I just say, listen, I have great respect for you, as we know. It's against the law to withhold appropriated funds. You've been supportive of this. I'll even, if we need to, I can get the chairman to nudge you a little bit as well. But you know, it is concerning to me that 75% of the funds.
Senator, this is the first I've heard of it. I've consistently stated that.
No, you've been great. So let me just go to.
We will have an answer to you by the beginning of next week.
Okay.
And Senator Warner's right. That's my next question if I had one. So.
Thank you. So let's go to the 26 fiscal year budget, where you're cutting CDFI fund by over 50%. And I guess I don't get it. These are 8-to-1 leverage funds. Every federal dollar get a great leverage return in the private sector. You know, there was a review by which was fine, of CDFI and how they were going or not was going. And, you know, your department has affirmed to both Senator Crapo and myself and all of our colleagues that the CDFI fund programs are statutorily sound. So if they're statutorily sound and they got an 8-to-1 return on every federal dollar in terms of affecting underserved communities, why are we cutting the whole program by 50% in fiscal year 26?
Yeah, so Senator, I understand the bipartisan support. We have created a new $100 million award program for rural communities So I hope using that, we can rebuild the seat.
Well, I would ask you to take a look, because I know about the rural program, and I support rural CDFIs, but there are suburban needs, there are urban needs, and I just really think, and I know you support what Senator Crapo and I and others do, this 8-to-1 leverage. I hope you will go back and take a fresh look at that. I think this is one of the areas where there is huge bipartisan support, and we ought to not walk away, and I'm grateful for your willingness to take a look at that as well. I want to move to another one that we've talked about. I think one of the things about our system, and we all know we need ways to improve taxpayer compliance and make things better at the IRS, but I think our whole system works on voluntary compliance. And we've got about 85% of our citizens pay their taxes on their own. I think that's a lot contingent upon their trust that their personal data is not going to be manipulated or used elsewhere. So I've raised this with you, and a number of written letters on this. We've been hugely concerned about the Doge boys coming in and potentially accessing this information. And I can tell you, I hear from taxpayers regularly in Virginia who are afraid about whether they should go ahead and work with IRS going forward. We wrote to you in April. We wrote to the acting commissioner, Faulkner, on this issue, and he basically said nothing to see here. So this notion that data is going to be protected, but at the same time, the IRS Doge boys came up here and at the staff level briefed about the fact that they are creating these tools to suck out information. And just a couple last comments. I've actually put a bill in to try to increase the penalties on misuse of that private information. But can you, again, in front of us, assure us that the private information of citizens that will get us that 85% voluntary compliance will not be abused in terms of the Doge process of sucking out this IRS information?
So, Senator, what you're referring to is 6103 of the IRS code, which ensures taxpayer privacy. And as I have said, some enthusiastic people, I think, had the motto, move fast and break things. At Treasury, we move deliberately and fix things. And we have made sure that any access is compliant, and we are, I've repeatedly said—
Oh, shit, yeah, I am muted. Yeah, I said app. I was saying the contracts, you could go for the short-term ones, try to get a little bit more time, but they've already 480'd that contract, all of them.
Who is now in jail.
There were some decent ones that like 30 cents and below, but they're kind of far out.
We do not know the terms of his plea deal, but I would support an increase in both the monetary penalty and the jail time.
Absolutely, and we work together on my bill. Last one of my time's overrun, but there are huge concerns, at least in my state, that these Doge boys are sucking that information out, and I think you'd find in individual conversation with other senators, this is not unique to Virginia. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, welcome. I think it's pretty interesting that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle now, when they're not in charge, are all concerned about massive deficit spending and the impact that will have on,
they said 290 people killed.
I think it's appropriate to have a little history lesson here.
They said it was 200
I put together
initially.
A report. I've given you a copy of it. We'll talk about it a little bit later.
But yeah, India police say 290 people killed.
It shows I didn't have time to really blow these charts out.
App is a short report.
The impact is so dramatic, so glaring.
I'd fade
I can just do it in a little 8 by 11-inch piece of paper here.
Yeah, I thought that was
this
like real
shows
news.
that under President Bush, his 8 years, he averaged $250 billion a year deficits. Then President Obama came into office with filibuster-proof majority, and they blew the lid off of that. For the next 4 years, we averaged deficits of $1.27 trillion. First time we ever had a deficit over $1 trillion.
Okay, Microsoft.
That sparked the Tea Party movement. I'm part of that.
Yeah, but App,
and
I think,
actually,
paid that.
Put some restraint on spending and deficits. For the next 7 years, we averaged $661 billion
it's all opinion, just like that
worth
other
of
one.
deficits. Still way
Doesn't
too high.
mean it can't move, but that's just different than when it moves 3 to 5% off of like something material. That's why I thought it was material. But when I find out it's a short report,
$3.1 trillion deficit. We went from $4.4 trillion of spending to $6.5 trillion.
U.S. CBO tax bill would boost the rich and cut poor incomes.
President,
since when does the fucking CBO talk about rich and poor?
2021, as the economy recovered, unemployment came down, would have returned to pre-pandemic levels of spending and deficits. But that's not what happened. Instead, under President Biden and Democrats in charge, they averaged $1.9 trillion worth of deficits. So again, we went from $661 billion in 7 years, COVID. Then we've averaged $1.9 trillion in deficit spending over the last 4 years under the
showed
Biden
this on my
administration,
YouTube video.
Democrat control. And unfortunately, this is the projection.
Vote Josh Answers for Senate.
CBO's
in like 10
baseline
years.
projection over the next 10 years, another $22 trillion worth of deficits, averaging about $2.2 trillion. That's the problem. And Mr. Secretary, I appreciate in your opening statement in your confirmation hearing, you're repeating what the chairman said in his opening statement. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. And again, here's the chart that shows that. 4.4 to 6.5. Now, I don't know of an American family, honestly, if they had an illness, had to borrow $50,000, pay medical bills. If that family member got well, they would keep borrowing $50,000 and spend at that level.
The CBO,
but that's what Democrats did.
I don't think so.
We never went back to pre-pandemic.
They're right
levels
about
like
some things, but as of lately,
I
called out the CBO on the beginning. They're overestimating the negatives of Donald Trump.
Of GDP on
so I still think that's what makes it confusing.
41%.
Because like the CBO is like it's like Michigan consumer sentiment. They're smoking crack. You know what I'm saying? But then it doesn't mean that Donald Trump isn't spending a lot. So that's kind of been the issue. So I think the numbers are way better than the CBO projects. But then it's not as good as Donald Trump and the Republicans say, if that makes any sense. I think you're right in the middle of that. But yeah, I think they don't usually say rich and poor. That's why it's kind of weird. And again, let me put it into perspective. 4 years ago, real wages went down and nobody complained. You understand that? So in the last 4 years, even though your nominal income was going up, and Biden liked to tout that, real wages were dropping almost every single year. So it's odd that the CBO, again, highlighting rich and poor, that's just weird. Low income, high income is usually what they say. But they literally says rich and poor. I think that's weird. But yeah, they're still, it's a not really following. Well, CBO's always been around, but yeah, it just, once again, we're playing this game where they're highlighting stuff, but then just where were you guys 4 years ago? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all. That's my take on it. It's like, 'cause I don't think these people are saying all incorrect things, but it's just so, like, do they call it alligator tears? Or, like, whatever, but it's just like, where were you guys 4 years ago? You had the ability to speak out. You have the ability to put together and use your voice and make noise and make a stand, and you want to defend your constituents and Americans. You know what I'm saying? It's like you guys clearly have that ability. So where was everybody the last 4 years? You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. I get it. We should have a talk on the spending and talk about who it's going to affect, but like I'm saying, like, why when real wages were going down, everybody was told to agree with Janet Yellen. Nobody batted an eye. No, not one of these guys complained. If they did, you'd call them a conspiracist theory, or you'd call them an extremist. So I'm not following. That's why I'll get the data for you. I'll show you. But it's just like every single thing I have heard, these were all criticisms that would have been valid even 4 years ago. All these people lied down and just cashed their check. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Hassan.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and Ranking Member Wyden, and good morning, Mr. Secretary. Thank you for joining us this morning. Secretary Bessent, in your confirmation hearing, I asked you whether any of President Trump's policies would increase costs for families. You said that there is, quote, nothing I can immediately think of, close quote. Mr. Secretary, have costs for new parents increased or decreased under President Trump?
I'm not sure how you're defining that, but
oil
overall,
ripping. Watch for anything in the Middle East.
First time in 3 years.
Well, let me provide you with some data then. The answer is that costs have gone up for new parents. As the ranking member of the Joint Economic Committee, I just released a report this morning that shows that costs have gone up nearly 25% for the most popular baby items since Trump's main tariffs were imposed. This includes a price increase of more than $40 for the most popular infant seat on a car seat on Amazon. And Mr. Chair, with unanimous consent, I'd like to enter the JEC minority report into the record. Thank you. Secretary, with his reckless tariffs, the president has imposed a 10% national sales tax on imports into our country. So, Mr. Secretary, do Americans pay tariffs?
Senator, thus far, we have seen no price increases.
Okay, spy going, bro, look, Israel considering military action against Iran.
Was whether Americans
and then new vaccine advisor by RFK
again
was expert witness against litigation against Merck.
Walmart has decided
and oil ripping and spy coming down on bullshit Middle East. I'm telling you, wild.
Amazon,
because most of our moves in the last 48 hours, this was all Middle East. We ripped for no reason, and then you're reacting to it. So again, oil, currencies, everything's already in position. But yeah, it's the same shit as last night.
Across the board, 10% tariffs. Behind me is a receipt from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection showing that a small distiller in Salem, New Hampshire, paid the United States government
Be careful watching those India videos, bro.
In the
I already just saw a head on the ground, and I'm like, man,
from Italy. And
that's why I don't
have
look at this shit, bro.
The same receipt for
so,
about the same size shipment
some wicked
that they had before the tariffs went into effect. And that $2,600 was not on the receipt
Tesla.
back in, I think it was March. So, since you testified that Americans don't pay the president's tariffs, will the Treasury reimburse this New Hampshire small business for these tariffs that they paid to the United States government?
Again, Senator, a luxury product from Italy. I think we have to look in the aggregate, and the aggregate is showing us that thus far, contrary to many wishes, that there has been no inflation from tariffs.
So first of all, this is a small distiller in Salem, New Hampshire, that employs people, and now it's got a monthly or bi-monthly expense of $2,600 it didn't have, and it's either going to, lay people off, stop producing some of its products, but its business isn't going to grow with a new $2,600 charge unless it's going to pass on the price to American consumers. So I just want to be clear, you all need to own up to the fact that tariffs are taxes. They are a sales tax. I think you noted in the Oval Office recently that the president's tariffs would raise $2.8 trillion over a decade.
I was quoting the CBO.
So the CBO now says it. So that's now about a $3 trillion tax that Americans will pay.
No, ma'am.
A sales tax.
Much of that is being absorbed by the producers.
Well, that certainly isn't true for new parents. In addition to the 5 popular products on Amazon that new parents need, there's another. We did another analysis on a baby list registry. New parents in America will pay total over the next year about $875 more for their products than they would have paid before the president's tariffs. Now, lastly, I just want to note that the CBO has made clear that the Republican budget bill will take away health care from millions and millions of Americans, both Medicaid coverage and the Affordable Care Act coverage. Not to mention, it will trigger a $500 billion cut to Medicare that will impact providers and rural hospitals. And it will add trillions of dollars to the national debt. So, Mr. Secretary,
Israel
this is all
news
to pay
hitting
for
again.
Massive tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires. Why, sir, do you need a tax
GME
cut
CEO
at the
Cohen
expense of
says
healthcare
company
for
is
millions of
focusing on
Americans?
trading cards
I would
at
dispute
annual
those
meeting.
numbers.
Nice.
1.4 million illegal aliens receive Medicaid. I think.
But the CBO, first of all, they don't receive
How about the CBO?
dollars. And secondly, the
Well,
CBO says
The CBO.
without counting that, it's still, I think, 11 or 12 million Americans who are going to have their health care ripped away so that people in your income bracket can get massive tax breaks. I think that's un-American, and I think that's unfair, and I think the American people understand that too. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, just 10 seconds. Senator Hassan, thank goodness for bringing tariff receipts.
Senator Cantwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you, Secretary Bessent. There was the Wall Street Journal seems to be doing a daily editorial about the president's trade policy. Yesterday or maybe it's today, about the strategy or lack of strategy. So I just wanted to see if I could, thank you. I wanted to see if I could get your thoughts on that in the sense of, do you believe in a rules-based trade regime?
I believe that the international economic system has
Okay,
failed the
bro, it's
American
all the fucking Israel shit.
And for too long.
Okay, bonds are catching a
adhered
fear
to
bid.
a system
What
that
should you
does
look
not
at?
work.
You guys should know.
And I believe, and
we talked about it yesterday on the watch list.
That doing the same
Who
thing
loves
again
the Middle
and
East
again
shit?
and expecting a different
There's
outcome
one asset
is
that
the very
benefits.
definition of insanity.
A lot more than just oil.
Okay, so I'm
well,
trying to
oil
get
is
at
number one.
philosophy here, but I think
and
you
then
just
gold.
gave it to me.
So look, gold,
I guess you
bonds,
just gave it
oil,
to me.
all moving.
I don't understand how
LNT.
we in the United States don't win without saying that we're going to have a rules-based system. I mean, part of how we win is we get more people on our side about the rules and set the rules and then make everybody adhere to them. So if it's not rules-based, then it becomes more ad hoc in the process, and that's why I think it is troubling and hard to follow. So I guess I don't need to ask more about multilaterals, because I don't know. Do you think the administration believes in multilaterals?
I believe that we attempt to use multilaterals, but I believe that it has failed the American people. We have these gigantic trade deficits. There is something called the China shock, and workers were left behind, and working Americans have suffered because of this. So, here, Senator, as an example, China, the second largest economy in the world, and this multilateral system that you seem to like, is considered a developing country. Under what measure are they a developing country?
I
Yeah,
personally
LMT
believe
still
in
has, again, they were
bilaterals,
down
multilaterals,
yesterday.
But I represent a very trade-dependent
So I still
state,
think it
so
has
I
a little
wanna
bit of
open more
gap.
markets, and I also believe that the
So
economy
again, just
is
watch
way
gold,
bigger outside
oil,
the
bonds,
United
but
States
I mean,
than
it's
inside the
doing
United
it. Like,
States.
you know
So
the vibe.
I'm just trying to
Unfortunately.
get what the philosophy
So
is.
until these
you
go
know,
away
of
or
the
you get
administration. But you've
focused
answered
on
two
something
questions,
else,
very helpful.
market
in
wants
that.
to
Can I ask
respond.
you a few more? One, I wanted to know whether the investment tax credit, we have a investment tax credit that we made as part of the CHIPS and Science Act. That is the 48D Advanced Manufacturing Investment Credit. And these are important for us in our competitiveness. And do you believe that this 48D tax credit should be extended?
I'm unfamiliar with that. I will get back to you, but I would note that I believe it's substantial that it has not worked. That we
well, it hasn't been in place very long. So part of CHIPS and Science was let's attract.
Well, remember what
the
I told
sector
you. We might
in competition to what other
the market
countries
gets
were
the
doing
fear.
back to the United States.
Nothing happens,
so
and they're
there
gonna
were
feed it into the
investments that
weekend,
did
and then
that,
you're
but
gonna
there
play
was
that game,
also
and then nothing
a
might not
tax
even happen on
credit
the
to
weekend,
help
and then
level
on
the
like
playing
Tuesday,
field
right when
against
everybody
those
doesn't
other
give a shit.
countries to make sure the United States was receiving that investment in the United States. So just if you could.
Well, I will get back to you, but I believe
RTX
that may
as
have
well,
also
gold and
included
bonds
many
still up.
bells and whistles that even Secretary Raimondo experienced or expressed great frustration in making this provision work.
On the 48D tax credit, do you gentlemen, I think you're both supportive of it. I don't think that's right, is there?
This may be the one that Senator Wyden and I got in the bill.
Yes, so I'm just, okay.
Trump terminating California EV
If you
mandate.
need more familiarity,
Yes,
I may be conflating it with the CHIPS Act.
It's weird.
Yeah,
None of the
okay.
none of the
TikTok.
legacy
Next
automakers
week is
are
the 90
getting a
days
bid.
are up. And clearly China is trying to make this part of the negotiation, but we would like the law to be enforced. We passed it. What is your, where are we with meeting this deadline that was set next week? And what do you think is the, how does this relate to the broader negotiations?
I have no visibility into TikTok. I can tell you it was not discussed at the meetings in London.
Okay. So we will try to get some information from somebody else in the administration about that. But next Friday, I think, is the deadline, and the Chinese keep seeming to use it as some sort of, so it's good to know that they didn't bring it up. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Blackburn.
Thank
Okay,
you, Mr.
LMT.
Chairman. Mr. Secretary, thank you for taking the time to be here today. And I want to say thank you for the outstanding work that you have done on behalf of our nation as you have tried to help with trade negotiations, as you have looked at policy that affects each and every one of us. I do want to talk a little bit about economic growth and tax fairness, tax relief. I think as we look at extending the TCJA, and of course,
I feel like this is how Senator Kennedy's wife would sound.
Many people don't realize
They don't
that
realize.
this is really a Tax Cut and Jobs Act 2.0 that we are debating and we are getting ready to pass. And we all know
Marines
the
in
CBO
LA are not
is,
authorized to fire warning shots.
Wrong.
Trump oil prices have gone up a little bit. U.S. President Trump says they had a problem in India today. So Trump is talking right now. It's not Truth Social. Yeah, he's at the bill signing.
Reaction.
Don't like oil
and
prices. They've
It
gone up.
causes the CBO to be wrong. And we repeatedly see this. We chuckle about it sometimes, and it's why people like me think that we need to have a range and look at what CBO says and then
nothing
what
wrong,
other
right?
outside
It's going to keep going
entities
down a little bit,
have.
right?
But when we talk about
Because we have inflation under control perfectly. You probably saw the records. Everyone's on television saying, what's going on here? Trump has proven to be right. You know, all of these things. We've taken in $88 billion in tariffs.
Eggs.
In 2 months.
I brought
88
eggs.
billion.
Now they don't talk
with no
about
inflation.
eggs. Eggs.
And if we're smart, there won't be.
They took eggs.
Now, I would like to get this guy to lower interest rates.
Lower the rates like we
Because,
lowered
if
the
he
egg
doesn't,
prices.
We have to pay.
They
we have
won't
a lot
talk
of
about
short-term debt.
eggs.
Obama gave it to us originally, and Biden carried it on. They like short-term. I like long-term cheap debt.
Woo!
But a lot of the debt comes through because Biden, that's what, well, he didn't do it. I'm sure he didn't know
Short-term
anything
debt.
about
That's how
it.
Janet Yellen fucked all of your children.
But somebody approved
Literally.
short-term debt. It's
I'm
all
so
over the
glad
place.
that
And
this
it comes due
president
starting very
understands
soon.
it. I don't think the last one
And
did.
if we would lower the interest
Yeah,
rates
do
by
it. Go
1
ahead.
point, we'd
Sure.
pay about 1 point less. That's $300 billion
Yeah,
a year.
he's telling
Can
you what I
believe it?
just
For
told
1
you
point.
guys.
If we'd lower it by 2 points.
Yeah, bro. Powell's gone.
$600 billion.
Yeah, listen!
Just for years. 10 years, 12 years, whatever we make it.
Bro, this is what I was just telling
But
you
we
an
can't
hour
get this guy
ago.
to do it. And the fake news is saying, oh, if you fired him, it would be so bad. It would be so bad. I don't know why it would be so bad, but I'm not going to fire him. I just want
I'm
him
just
to
gonna
we call
replace
him. Too
him.
late, right? Too
We
late.
could
is just
last
like
for
Too
another
Tall
6
Jones. He
months.
was too tall, TOO. And I just say this because we want to get rid of inflation, and we have. But we're going to be paying more for debt.
Yeah, bro.
And
He's not going to
all he
fire
has to do
Powell,
is lower
but
it.
I think Powell
Europe's
is easily
done
going to be
10
replaced.
lowerings. We've done none.
Because it cost almost $1 trillion.
And
Powell is costing you $1
Nobody
trillion
understands
a
it.
year.
Actually, today when the
You know
numbers
that,
came
right?
out, they were so good. You saw yesterday's
No
numbers,
exaggeration.
incredible.
Powell is
No
literally
inflation.
costing you $1
Today's
trillion
numbers-
a year with this policy. So again, he
Today
was
just
willing
came
to
out,
lower
same
that
thing,
amount
inflation,
ahead of
we're
the
all shocked.
election.
All these guys are
and now
watching
6 months of
business,
data getting better,
CNBC,
nothing bad happening,
and,
even
all
after a
of these
Trump-induced
different
freak
networks.
out. Like, what are we talking
Maria
about?
Bartiromo actually got it
And
right.
he's
She's
still
been
willing to
getting it right
pay
for a long time.
$1
That
trillion
one, I
a
hope
year
she's
on this
appreciated.
long-term debt.
And Joe Kiernan's been
When
very
again,
good at CNBC,
let me
I must
show
tell
you.
But other people aren't so
Please,
good.
I have so many
But I will
receipts.
say
It's
that,
disgusting, you guys. Believe me,
they
I don't
can't
just talk
believe
out of
what's
my
happening,
ass.
But if I could, because
That's
we
why I
could
tell you it
discuss a
before
whole
the
lot of
president
press, get
does.
a lot of
Look, you had the
cameras
most
rolling
amount of
right
rate
now. Not
cuts
that I
ever
like doing it,
since.
'cause I
Look,
don't.
everybody's
But
been
if we
cutting
take-
and
if we
saving
cut
money
our
except
interest
for
by
us.
1 point for years,
Powell is costing
we
you
saved
$1 trillion a year.
300 billion.
That's why I was just telling
If we
you. I was
cut it
like,
by
well,
2
think
points,
about
we
it.
save-
Powell
because it's
leaves,
pretty
they replace him
equivalent.
with a Trumper
We're
or
gonna
somebody
save-
fucking
we're gonna spend
reasonable, and they're willing to lower the
600
rates.
billion a
Boom, we
year,
just saved half of our
600
interest.
billion.
That could pay
Because
for
of one
20,
numbskull
30% of the tax cut.
that sits
That could
here.
pay
I don't see
for
enough
that.
reason to
You could
cut
save
the rates,
by cutting rates.
And the
You could
problem
save
is
as
that
much
is
as the
that-
Democrats
and I
wanted to
explained to them,
save by getting rid of the
if
step-up
inflation
basis in
went up,
10 years.
Cut your rates
Yeah.
now. There's no inflation. We got it.
So
down. We
instead
got
of you
prices
paying
down.
taxes on
We got
inheriting your
gasoline
parents
down.
or grandparents'
And you
properties,
keep it going
you could just
down.
have Powell cut the rates, and it'll have the same
But
effect on the
gasoline's
deficit,
down. We're drill-
short-term
yes,
and
drill,
long-term.
baby, drill. That's why it's going down. But we all that. But think of it. I said to him, he was in my office a couple of days ago. I said, if you think there's inflation, let's find out.
Anyone can't cut.
Because I think we're going to keep
Yes,
it down. I
but
think
we were the leader.
gasoline's going to be
We cut first.
so far down. Oil,
Look,
energy, it's so
and
much
then he
energy. We have
stopped
so
out of
much
nowhere.
energy, we don't know what
And
to
then
do with
Japan
it.
is raising. In Japan,
But let's say there was
they're sapping
inflation
in
a
all the
year
money.
from now.
So it works,
Raise your
and
rates.
China.
I don't
But
mind.
now China went from
Raise your
raising
rates.
to
I'm all
cutting
for
in
it. I'll
that
be the
same
one to-
time frame.
I'll be calling you. He'll be too late for that too. But raise your rates. You don't have to keep them up here. If it's going to go up, I'm okay with
Yeah,
you.
listen to
but
this.
it's down.
He's right. Honestly, I
And we're going
agree
after
with you.
financing.
I think it's sounds
And I
kind of
may have
batshit,
to
and you
force
want the
something.
stability of
Somebody said,
Powell, but
"Who's
like
the
low key,
genius that
Powell
thought
is
of
kind
that?"
of
I
getting
said, "It's
ridiculous.
me."
Like it's $1
I'm
trillion
like
a
Biden. I
year.
stay
Do you
awake
guys
at night
understand how much
thinking
money
about
that
how
is?
to
It
save
costs
our
more
country. He
money
was much
to
better
pay
at
for this
sleeping than me.
Janet
He could
Yellen
sleep at a
interest
beach.
than it
He could
does to
sleep at a
fund
beach
your
with
entire
cameras rolling.
military.
I can't do that.
That's ridiculous.
But I had an idea. I gave it. They said, this is really, we'll go short term for a year. Let this guy get out of office. Somebody will come in, cut it a couple of points, and we'll save ourselves
Bro!
7, 8, maybe even $900 billion.
Dude, this is
a year.
exactly what I was telling you
What
guys.
is he doing? Why doesn't he lower these rates?
That's it. It's
And
a simple.
with
It's a
that,
smart
we'll get
plan.
on
It
to
does.
the
You don't have to be
California standard,
ridiculous.
which
It's like,
is a
okay,
disaster.
this
Okay.
guy's really wants to
So, Chris
cost
Wright, you're gonna
America
get the
that much
numbers down.
money.
Thank you very
Let him
much.
finish out his term.
Lee Zeldin, one of the most
That's
important
it.
men in this room.
Replace
He's
the
man.
dude and we save $1
I get
trillion.
nervous when I talk to him.
You just say Lee
He's
Zeldin.
doing a great job.
No, bro. He just said exactly what I told you.
Nuclear, I say, okay,
Amen.
you can take 2 weeks for that approval. It used to
That's
take
crazy.
20 years, then they wouldn't approve it. Now I say, Lee, nuclear, I'll give you 2 weeks for an approval.
Okay, watch nukes.
A coal-fired plant, you only get a couple of days. And oil and gas will give you a week, okay?
That's
Something like that. But he's doing it so fast, and we have so many plants being built right now. It's so beautiful to see. And one of the reasons they're coming here is because they have to produce tremendous, especially
Inflation
the AI.
could come back. Yes,
They
it all
have to
depends
produce
on how much they
beyond
spend.
believable
And then
amounts
again,
of
like shit like
electricity. And they're doing, I said to
Everything
them, I
from
think this was
oil
more or
to
less
the
my idea.
trade
They
and
didn't
revenue
have the idea only because
generation.
they didn't think
It's a
thing
very
like this
complex
was possible.
thing.
I
It
said, as
can
you build
have,
your
it
plant,
can
you're
though.
gonna
It
become a
can.
utility.
Inflation
And you're gonna
worries
build a
are
separate
real,
plant
not
right
because of
alongside
tariffs,
of it.
all
You're gonna
because of
build it.
spending.
You're gonna build
But
a
then there
plant
is
that
a way to
produces
eliminate
electricity.
or lower
And
it.
you
But again,
produce
you
it
need
through,
every other piece moving,
natural
and
gas,
they're trying
coal,
to stop the pieces.
nuclear. We don't want to produce it
That's what I'm
through
saying.
wind
Powell's
because we don't
just
feel like
costing
ruining
everybody
50
money for no
miles
reason
of
now.
beautiful plains and beautiful vistas. And but we want to.
I can't believe he just said all
interestingly,
that.
China's opening.
I was telling you, bro. I said what I'm about to say
coal
sounds
plant
crazy,
every
but I was
single
thinking
week.
about it.
But
And
now
I was
I'm
like,
finding out
dude,
it might
you know,
be 2 plants every
there is a
single
way to
week.
make it work.
And,
I don't like the
usually that's a
spending. I
good
really
gauge if
don't.
they're using coal.
But then
I guess
I'm
we're
like,
supposed to use
man,
coal. And you know, we went to a
even
coal
if they
standard.
didn't
Not that you have
spend,
to use
what do you
coal.
think the
You can
next
use
guys are
whatever's
going to
best.
do? They're just taking
I
it's a high risk
introduce
all in
also
bet.
Senate
But
Majority
there is a
Whip John
way to
Barrasso,
make it
who's
work.
a tremendous guy,
Or at the very
doctor.
least, like I'm telling you, if Powell just cuts the rates, like everybody else, with Japan
And
raising,
he is a tremendous
we
guy,
could pull it off,
tremendously
and
talented
it'll
doctor.
at least pay.
When I have a
for
medical
something
situation
in
for the
big
country,
numbers.
for myself,
I'm
I
talking
haven't used
again
them, but I might have
up to $900
Maybe I'll do
billion.
that. If it's serious enough, I think I'd probably
That's crazy,
do that.
bro.
But he's tremendously talented gentleman who happens to be a senator. And
Well, it's either
one
we
that's
spend,
very
go big or
respected.
go home. But it's like, think about if we don't spend.
Chairwoman Shelley Moore
We go on a
Capito, and
diet for 4
congratulations.
years.
I just
What do you think the
endorsed
next
your
guy's
son.
gonna do? He's gonna
Did you
binge.
know that?
So
I
that's
endorsed
why
your
it's
son.
like you could go and take the risk.
I endorsed
not
your
pay
son,
people.
who's
You know what
running
I'm
in
saying?
West Virginia,
and then
and he's
it
great.
doesn't even
In
lead
fact,
to a,
he's
it's a
all
drop
Trump
in
all
the
the
bucket.
time. I think much more so than you, actually. If you want. You were his largest impediment. No, I'm only kidding. He's all Trump all the time, and he's going to win big, and so congratulate him. Okay, he's really been fantastic.
Then give you
So many
the air.
people
I'm
have
just
told
going to
me. Thank
ban you, baby boy.
And House Majority
Come on, my
Leader
boy. What are you talking
Steve
about?
Scalise, who's
You better
a
check that
brave
energy
man.
at the door.
He went through hell.
He said, "Why? Why? Tell me."
Steve went
Oh my
through
God.
hell.
No, I ain't going to
And
do
we have
shit,
a lot
dog.
of other people here. that
$5.
I won't be able to
Try
because I
again.
don't have your name down, and I'm looking and I see people's names. I'll do a couple of you, but thanks as well to Mark Wayne Mullen, Senator. Mark Wayne, thank you. Stand up, Mark Wayne. Don't fight him. He's a serious fighter in a lot of ways, and he's a great guy, too. Thank you, Mark Wayne. Deb Fisher. Deb? Thank you, Deb. Good. Pete Ricketts, who's going to do very well in the upcoming election. Thank you. Thank you, Pete. John Husted, who's really moving along in Ohio. John, good luck. You're going to do well. All endorsed people. John Curtis, who's doing terrifically. John, thank you. Good job. They all say excellent. What can I tell you? Good job. And Bernie Moreno, who won a race that was not winnable. They all said it's not winnable. He won in Ohio. They said you can't win that race. It's a waste of time. You're just wasting your time, right, Bernie? Wasn't a waste of time, was it? Huh? And he won by like 5 points, too. Won by a lot. Along with Representatives Kevin Kiley, Vince Fong, Jay Obernolte, Doug Lamaffer, Daryl Issa. Where's Daryl? I haven't seen you in such a long time. Look at you. How good you look, huh? Good when you have those big margins. It's easier. John Joyce, great guy. John, thank you. Thank you, John. Dusty Johnson, Morgan Griffith, Troy Balderson, Troy from a place called Ohio, and he played very cute at one time, but then he got, boy, I'll tell you, he's become a good politician. Where is Troy now? Where I haven't seen him used for years. I endorsed you early when he was early and younger, but you still look young, and you've done fantastically good. Good work, really good work. Claudia Tenney, New York. Claudia, thank you, Claudia. John James, I don't know. You know, he's running for governor, but I'm not sure I'm happy about that, John. Do we have somebody good to take your seat? Because otherwise we're not letting him run for governor. We can't. You have somebody good, right? Okay, as long as you like him, they'll win. Tracy Mann, Tracy, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Michael Baumgartner. Michael. Thank you, Michael. Good job. David Rouser. Thank you. Glenn Grothman. Hi, Glenn. Thank you very much, Glenn. Brett Guthrie. Brett. Thank you, Brett. Rudy Yackham. Thank you. Thank you, Rudy. And I want to thank you all. And there's some additional people in the room, but we have to get back to this. Is like so big. This is a big one. Under the previous administration, I could go point after point, everything they did, open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, let's go transgender.
Donald.
What a
Since
group
you
of
listen,
people you
just
had
start
over there.
telling them
They
about
must have
real
hated our
wages, since
country.
they keep complaining during
Under the
all
previous
these
administration, the federal
congressional
government gave
briefings.
left-wing
It's all real
radicals in
wages. I'm gonna show
California
you. I have all the
dictatorial
data.
powers
It's kind
to
of
control the
convoluted,
future
but I
of
have
the
it.
entire car
That's what you
industry
should
all
tell
over
them,
the
Donald.
country, all over the world, actually.
And Bessent, that's what you should say.
Because
Real
they have to
wages.
build
I
a
can't
car.
believe
They can't
all
build
these people are
19 different
ignoring
cars
it. Because
called
I
the
brought
same
this
thing.
up 4 years ago, every
And
single month.
Really, it was all over the world what was happening. They approved Governor Gavin Newsom's ridiculous plan to impose a 100% ban on all new gas-powered cars within a very short period of time. Think of this. You couldn't buy any other car except an electric-powered car. And in California, they have blackouts and brownouts. They don't have enough electricity right now to do the job. And countrywide, you'd have to spend $4 trillion to build the firing plants, to be able to, they call them a lot of things, charging plants, firing plants. $4 trillion you'd have to spend. In the Midwest, they built 9 of them. 9 individual, it's like a pump. It's just like a pump, except instead of gas, electricity comes out. They built 8 of them. $9 billion they spent for 8 little hoses, $9 billion. Now, I'm sure they could have done it for about, 1/1000th of that, but even if they did, it's unaffordable. They approved Governor
down to L.A. in 2.5 hours, $55. In California, we're still debating.
Give me some good shit, bro. Look at this.
Down to L.A. in 2.5 hours, $55. In California, we're still debating a high-speed rail. What a joke.
Well, finally, California is going to get it right with this new high-speed rail.
I personally have been supportive of the high-speed rail project since my time as mayor of the city and county of San Francisco.
The project is no longer a $33 billion project. The project's years and years behind. The project's wildly over budget. That doesn't mean it's a bad idea. We do have the capacity to complete
So y'all talking about robbing Americans and taxing,
Now, I know.
You've been doing this shit for
I know
30
some
years, Doc.
critics are going to say, well, that's a train to nowhere. We have a real federal partner with our high-speed rail system, an incredible opportunity to finish the work. High-speed rail was mentioned. $4.2 billion is being requested of the legislature to finish the job. To someone who's all in on the high-speed rail.
You kidding
The
me?
high-speed rail, not as a rail project, but an economic development project. $3.86 billion. It's about damn time we have a high-speed rail system.
This goes up, and all that money, again, they
more.
spent a lot.
2.5 times more.
That
than
money's
a
gone.
Regular truck, a gasoline.
Yeah,
powered
complaining
diesel.
about, that's why I'm
And he
like,
said,
what?
Based on that, we
And
have
we
to
have
rebuild
nothing.
every bridge in the United
Nothing to
States
show
of
for it.
America because it wasn't designed to hold cars and trucks that heavy because the batteries are very heavy. They're, probably lead. But they have a lot of things in those batteries that weigh a lot. But it's 2.5 times. It's a simple number, 2.5 times. And if you want to do this, you have to spend trillions and trillions of dollars on rebuilding every bridge in the United States, and I guess throughout the world, because they do follow us. And the big rig buses and even cement trucks, they want to abolish.
Expected to release renewable
certain
fuel
categories of
volume
truck.
proposal on Friday.
But they want to go 75%
Well, check any of the renewables.
of all of these trucks have to be abolished almost immediately. I mean, the time is just crazy. And they don't go far. Another little problem. With a tank of diesel, you can go from New York to Los Angeles if you want to go to Los Angeles.
I mean,
right
Spy
now.
was looking good, but even then,
But New York to
this is
Los
just, it's
Angeles,
all
and you
in
can
like
go
this
back
new
a
little
little bit.
zone of Israel-Iran,
With the
sadly.
electric truck, you'll stop
Like, look,
approximately
we
6
gapped
times.
down a little bit, hit the low of yesterday,
Enjoy
melt
your-
up for no damn
enjoy your
reason,
stop.
even though the data was good. Data was good
And
yesterday.
the truckers saw
Then
me,
we
and
come
I
back
said,
down,
"Did
you're
you
just
explain
right
this?
into the
Because
lows
this is
of
like,
middle
if you
of
explain it, if
Israel-Iran.
a person's reasonable for the-
Unfortunately.
we
And
explained
then
it,
gold,
they
dollar,
didn't
the currencies,
Yes, we're
everything's
going
ready to
all
go. So unfortunately, yeah.
They're-
And hopefully you watch yesterday's watch list. There's some good info on there.
Because anybody that can cheat on elections like them is not a stupid person.
CCJ.
But they must
Your
hate
reign.
our country. But I said to this big truck, I said, "Sir, I've been buying trucks my whole damn life." He's a rough guy, smart guy. He said, "I got thousands of them. I've been buying them for 50 years, and every single year they got better. They got more efficient, they got bigger, they got stronger. I build apartments in my trucks now for the drivers. I said, what's an apartment? That's on the cab, they put this in. And sir, I know you like luxury, but you wouldn't mind living in one of these. I said, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't sound too appealing, but I said, so what's the problem? He said, so I noticed one thing. For 50 years, every single year, one thing happened. They got better. They got stronger. They got more efficient. They got faster. They could carry any load. If we went to this standard, we'd go back beyond 50 years. They wouldn't go as far as a truck from 50 years ago. It would be too heavy and have all the other problems. He said, we'd be going backwards. We'd be taking a trucking industry, would be starting all over, but actually it would be worse because it was better 50 years ago than. So I said, what are you going to do if I don't win this election? This was before the election. He said, you don't win the election, I'm going to close up my business because I'm not going to lose he said, I'm not going to lose my ass. I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a catastrophe. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. They're making you buy stuff that doesn't work. It's no good. It doesn't work. And I'm all for electric. If you want to buy electric, you can buy electric. Cars are great. If you buy the right ones, cars are great.
I still love you, Elon.
You should be given the option. Buy the electric car, buy a gasoline-powered car, buy a hybrid.
It's okay. It'll talk
Probably
back to
not
you, but it's a good car.
Because hydrogen has a
I
tendency.
tell you, it'll call you a
that when it
PDF
blows up your
file,
gonzo, it's
but
over.
it's still a good car.
They find you 75 yards down the road, you know. Where is he? Well, I think that's him, but I'm not sure. So, you know, they said, we think we can solve the problem. I said, that's not good enough when they think. No, it sounds like it's quite severe. If it doesn't work, Steve, it'll work most of the time, but if it doesn't, it's over.
Wells Fargo on the low.
It'll make your accident look like peanuts compared. You wouldn't be around, I'll tell you.
Wells Fargo dumping.
It's pretty, but some people like it. I don't know. Let's see what happens, but I would say it's off to a bad start. But because of the size of California's population and the fact that 17 other states follow California, that's the problem. 17 other states follow California. They have the most ridiculous laws I've ever seen for a lot of things. This is just cars, but and trucks and they have a lot of them for other things. But we have, it's called the California Car Standards, and this horrible scheme would effectively abolish the internal combustion engine, which most people prefer. Like so far, I'd say about 90%. In fact, General Motors announced yesterday they're going to spend about $6 billion because of tariffs, and maybe because of my election on November 5th, but because of tariffs, I think, more than anything. They're all coming back.
See if
they're coming
GM,
back from other countries that took them 25, 30 years ago. They're all coming back. We have now almost $15 trillion. They had almost nothing last year, and the year before they have very, very little. Nobody wanted to be back here. Nobody wanted to come to our country anymore because we were like stupid people. We looked like stupid people. We were laughed at all over the world. Now we're not laughed at anymore, I can tell you that. But they wanted to shatter our domestic supply chains and literally grind civilization to a halt. We would have gone so far back. It's hard to believe, actually. Hard to believe when you don't have enough electricity to give a person a little air conditioning in the summer, and now they want you to take electricity and fire up all these cars. But we're not going to let that happen. Meanwhile, all of the auto jobs would be shipped to China because they're very strong on electric, and it lives off an estimated 200,000 American auto workers would be destroyed. It's one of the reasons I did so well with the United Auto Workers. And now I'm really doing well with them. I did phenomenally with them. No Republican ever got any numbers like I got. And the Teamsters too. Sean O'Brien, the head of the Teamsters, these guys, they like Trump because I produce jobs. They know that. Everybody knew that
back
the
below
auto workers knew better
first
than
time
anybody
since
how
the
good
morning,
tariffs
believe it or
were.
not. You wicked
And the
below a
head
couple times.
of the auto breakers, I don't know
That
him
candle
at all,
actually closed below VWAP.
but he didn't
Read
like
it on
me
the
at
high.
all. Now he's going around saying, this guy's unbelievable. He was very nice to me. the last few months. During the campaign, no, but if I've proven, I've proven it. I've done what I said I was going to do, and we've brought back tremendous numbers of jobs.
And that's what you're saying,
And
kind of
you're
the
having
reverse
auto
of what
plants
they
built
did.
all over the
They
country.
funded a lot of short-term debt.
All over.
That's what I'm
There's
saying.
never
You
seen
could
anything like
withstand
that.
these
They're
rates.
leaving
That's why I'm
from Mexico,
saying, like,
they're
it makes
leaving
sense
from
with
Canada,
Powell.
they're leaving from
You could find a
other
way
parts
to
of the
keep
world.
everything the
If they want
same
a
until Powell is
Mercedes-Benz, you're
gone.
gonna have it made
And then
here.
that's it.
It's
If you
okay to
put
have a
9 out of
Mercedes,
10
but they're gonna make
chairs,
it here.
if
Otherwise,
you put anybody to
they're gonna
replace
pay a very
Powell,
big tariff.
they would
already
be
are.
cutting
That's one
rates
of the
right
reasons we have $88
now.
billion.
And that's what he's saying. It would
It's
save.
a lot of money, but that's
That-
peanuts
that's what
compared
he
to what we're
needs
going to
to
be making
to
in
get
another
the
few
bill.
months. They haven't
Because if
even
you're
kicked in
complaining
yet.
about the price,
But
there's
we're not
$1 trillion
going to
you could
let any of these bad things happen.
And that's a
These
lot.
stupid
UNH ripping.
projections that I've been
Whoa,
reading about
UNH
for the
at the
last
high.
6 months. I think these people either
I don't know if
corrupt
it's
or really
momentum
dumb.
or news. Remember,
And
all
they're
the other
supposed to
ones
be
are going
economists.
crazy
In the
earlier.
Campaign, I promised to end this disaster. And
Mayor,
today
widen
our
the spreads. Be
Republican
careful.
majorities in Congress have delivered. And I don't
Yeah,
know.
they already
I
jacked
can't
up
imagine.
all of them.
It's so obvious. It's so good. Did we get any Democrat votes? Did we get 1, 2? Who? 35. I think that's great. I think that's great. You got 35 Democrats. I think that's great. That, as far as I'm concerned, 1 in the Senate on something that's so good. But who is the one? Well, I shouldn't have asked. I congratulate her. I don't care. I think it's great. It's very interesting. Why did I ask that question, Mr. Speaker? But in a few moments, I'll sign 3 pieces of legislation that will totally kill. You can't do anything about it. They can't take us to court. They can't do any of the things they can do with the executive orders. And it's permanent. I'll sign 3 pieces of legislation that will kill the California mandates forever, and they're never coming back. Now, the auto companies are the most happy because now they're going to be designing and building one auto. It will be much cheaper. It's a much less
Spy
expensive.
230 green,
They were
270
showing me,
red.
the most
Probably
respected
like 50
people
names.
were showing me that
went up from the morning.
to save
NASDAQ
a
49
little,
green,
like a half
52
a
red.
glass of fuel
And then Dow Jones
cost them
13 green,
thousands of
17 red.
dollars
It's
with
pretty
new
much the same.
computers and stuff
Spy
that
got
the
a little
engine
bit
has
more
to stop and
advancers.
turn on and blah, blah,
And then
blah.
that's it.
And I said, does it work as well? No, it's terrible. It's terrible. And that's to save a little bit of fuel, this much fuel.
Yeah, Biogen,
that Chris
Flushing,
Wright can produce with
Tesla.
one
Trump says, I like
extra
Tesla.
little oil well someplace, right?
All right, let's
little
see,
small
bro.
one, a very small
The
one. But think
sentiment,
of it.
I never played these
The cars are gonna
sentiment
cost
ones
you
as of lately.
$3,000, $4,000 less, and you're going to have
Oh,
what
fuck.
you want.
Cool.
And again, you can get any car you want.
I
You can
almost
get
bought
electric. A lot of
100.
people love the electric. They like Tesla. So do I, in all fairness.
All right.
I like Tesla.
I grabbed a small one.
And
I almost bought 100
I
of
like
them. That was a
others, too,
mistake.
but I also
remember,
like
I faded
combustion
every
engines,
sentiment
and
play
there
on
are
Tesla this
reasons
week.
for
So I grabbed a
lot
small
of
one. I did
things.
not
When
mean
I was
to.
in Iowa, we had an
I grabbed the
unbelievable
baby one.
victory, if you remember. Remember? That was nice. You won by like so much. Nobody even talked about anything else. But that was a great victory. But it was unbelievably cold that night. And I was going to watch my victory in the area where I was going to make a speech. And the whole place was littered with cars. I said, what happened? They were electric cars, and they don't work in cold. I said, I didn't know that. And they don't work in extreme heat either. Other than that, they're wonderful. But but if you're in a
honestly,
cold
terminate
climate,
the EV
how do you do
mandate and
that?
say you like Tesla.
But they're
is
electric cars, and I noticed
Again,
that.
I
and
faded
then
every one
I
of these
didn't pay
moves
much
this week,
attention
and they
because
all
we won
hit.
by about
That's why I'm
65
FOMOing
points.
this one.
So I was more
But I
interested
kept it
in
small.
that. But I do remember that scene. I said, what the hell is going on over here? What the hell? This historic action will also help us reduce inflation and bring down the price of automobiles and electricity very, very substantially. You know, we're building massive electricity right now. It's already started because of that guy right there, Lee Zeldin. By far the most important man in the room, Mr. Speaker. Stand up, Lee. He blows you guys away, John. He blows the politicians away. I'm sorry right now.
I'm sorry.
He's a great politician. He almost won for governor in New York, which is just
XOM.
missed by a few points. And that was another race that was not winnable, but you You almost got it. But I think what you're doing now is even bigger if you want to know the truth. I think it's actually more important if you can believe that. Under the previous regime, car prices skyrocketed as a direct result of the mandates. These mandates, this nonsense that you had to do. And they have so many other rules and regulations that the car companies who are here today appreciate that. And Susie Wiles is here today. Stand up, Susie. Most incredible woman. Most powerful woman in the world, they say. She's the most powerful. She was rated the most powerful woman in the world. Susie Wiles. One phone call and a nation is destroyed. She could destroy 5 nations with 5 calls, and she's doing a great job. More importantly, right? Doing a great job. Nobody like her. Energy prices would likewise soar as a radical left forced more electric vehicles onto the grid while blocking approvals for new power plants. They want to block the approvals. They want you to have a car with electric, but they block the production of the juice that runs the cars, and all of them, all forms of cars. It's just the craziest thing. We're in a different sphere now. We're in a whole different planet right now. The result would be rolling blackouts and a collapse of our power systems. We'd have a total collapse. You couldn't do it. You couldn't even do it. Think of it, they're forcing you to do something, and they want you to do boats also. I assume boats are being covered by this, and boats, they want you to go all electric, and the batteries are so heavy, the damn boat practically doesn't float. I used to have a lot of fun talking about that one on the tours. We'd talk about it. And I said, what would happen if the boat sank? Because we went to North Carolina, South Carolina, we visited boat factories, unbelievable guys. And they said, sir, we have one problem. They're forcing us to go electric for the boat. I said, how's it going to work? The boat will not float, sir. It's so heavy. And it won't go fast, and lots of other. And I did ask him a question, because I have a lot of background. My uncle was a big shot at MIT, the smartest guy. He never had a smarter guy. And I guess I have a little of that. My first question was, what would happen if the boat sank? Do you get electrocuted? Remember I said that?
Yo, Bonds.
And I used to be decimated by these people back here, right? I used to be decimated. They'd say, what kind of a crazy question is that? So I'm actually serious. What happens if you're in an electric boat and the boat is going down? You're in trouble, Susie. And I used to say, remember, I'd get decimated. The audience loved it, but the press would laugh at it. I said, so if I have my choice of going down or jumping 5 or 6 yards away from the boat, but there's a shark there, what do I do? You know what I said? I'd rather be electrocuted. I said, I'll take electrocution every single day.
No, bro. Have you ever been
he said,
electrocuted?
Nobody's ever asked me that question, sir. He makes boats.
No, bro.
Nobody
Dude,
ever asked me that question.
Being electrocuted is the
really
weirdest feeling
question.
ever. I hate it.
He said, and honestly, I don't have the answer. He wasn't able to. I said, don't worry about it. If I win, you won't have to worry about it. But today we're saving California.
That's funny.
And we're
He's
saving
scared
our
of
entire
sharks.
country from a disaster. Your cars are
I
going to
would
be
pet a
thousands of
shark.
dollars less
I
money.
hate electricity. Like,
And even the ones that, if you buy electric, we're not going to make you do certain things that are just a waste of money and just
Bro, UNH, that one's still
time-consuming
going.
waste of money. They
I've
make
been
you do things
electrocuted,
that
yeah.
Are no good for anybody.
That's
Make the car
bro,
worse.
You do
and
enough
make it
real
much
estate,
more
you go and get
expensive.
electrocuted.
Over the past 5 months,
I'm
our
telling you right
administration
now.
and Republicans and
Bro,
Congress
you
have
guys
fought
do
for
enough for
the
this like
American
property
auto
shit,
worker
bro.
and
You
for
go and get
Teamsters
electrocuted.
And for, by
At
the
least
way,
a little
right to
spark.
work, we have
Something,
them
bro.
all.
You would
We
be
have-
shocked.
You know, we just call them just
Literally.
workers. We fought for workers like no one has ever fought before. I understand that. It's why we
Dude,
won.
it's such
We
a
won with
weird
workers. We
feeling. You
won
like
with
just
young
touch
people.
something and
I just
and
saw
it's
with
like
TikTok.
it's strange, bro.
I was number one on
no,
TikTok in its
100%.
history. Can you believe that?
It's hella weird, bro.
So,
it's
I
a
guess
very,
I like
very,
TikTok.
very
That's why
weird
they're saying,
feeling.
Are you saving? And we probably will save TikTok, actually. But on my first day in office, I ended the Green New Scam and abolished the EV mandate at the federal level. We abolished
To
it.
a military
Which is
track.
basically that
You have to
everybody
kick
will be
off, that's
driving an
crazy.
electric car within a very short period of
Oh,
time.
Tesla.
Now I know why
And
Elon
I-
doesn't like me so much. Which he does, actually. He does. And he never had a problem. You know, it's very
Yeah, look,
interesting. This
I
is
didn't
not
hear catch
something
what he just
new.
said.
This has been there from day one, Speaker, right? We're going to abolish the EV mandate.
Yeah.
And Elon still endorsed me because, honestly, he never, ever spoke to me about that. And I used to say,
all right, yeah, he's defending Elon now.
That can't
That's
be
even
good for
more
him.
bullish,
I'm
bro.
abolishing the EV mandate. And I once asked him about it. You never talked to me about that. He said, well, as long as it's happening to everybody, I'll be able to compete. It was a very interesting answer. I thought it was a very honest answer, to be honest with you. And I talked about it, that incredible, you would have thought he would have been, from day one, you got to make sure you don't do the EV mandate, the abolishing, and never did. Very honest in that sense. And he did say to me, I actually asked him because it was like really strange how I'm with him. He's very, friend of mine, and he makes electric cars, and we're saying you're not going to be able to make electric cars, or you're not going to be forced to make all of those cars. You can make them, but it'll be by the market, judged by the market.
Yeah,
and
that's
what
a
he said.
very
He
big
said,
flip
as long
flop.
as I'm on the same plane.
No,
because
he just went from, he said, I like
make
him,
a better product.
but now he's saying that, I got more time on that one.
That was my answer.
Like I'm saying, he's defending the whole,
strange, but
remember at first when it went down, he was like, yeah, Elon didn't like the mandate. And now he's kind of backtracking.
One big, beautiful
so it might still
bill
fade,
will
but all
also
of them are
further
still going.
slash the funding for the Green New Scam. As you know, it's the greatest scam in history, saving American taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars. The windmills are killing our country, by the way. The fields are littered with them, junk. They're littered with them. And they get older, and they get rusty, and they get bad, and they get... This is other countries also. It's the greatest scam in history. It's the most expensive energy you can buy. They're ugly. A friend of mine comes from Minnesota. He's been in New York. He hit it big. He's a very successful guy, actually. And he wanted to go back, see his mother who's not well. And he went back to Minnesota. Hasn't been back there in 20 years. And he said, it's unbelievable what happened. He said, I'm driving down a highway and up a certain road, and the most beautiful fields. I remember them so well, and I was so looking forward to seeing them again. And I looked at them, and they had windmills all over them. These horrible, horrible structures. A very smart guy, this guy. He said these ugly, horrible things. And he said it was so bad I actually drove back to see it because I couldn't believe it. Before I even got to my mother, I drove back. I said, "How much do you like your mother?" But no, it hurt him to see it. He said, I looked at this field that was one of the most beautiful places in my own mind and imagination that I've ever seen. And I said, it's littered with this
Hey,
this
Bond's
garbage.
about to do it again, too.
It looked like a junkyard, he said. And some...
We
you know,
missed
then
Senator
you get
Warren
different
grilling Bessent.
manufacturers,
Oh, no.
and they don't look alike.
I'm sure it was
and
filled
they're
with
not
facts
painted alike,
and a lack
different
of
colors.
emotion.
You have, even if they're white,
Damn
one's
it.
a beigey white, one's a darker white, one's a lighter white. And then they start to rust after 4 or 5 years. And then they start to wear out, and nobody takes them because you're not allowed to bury the propellers, the props, right? You can't bury the props for some reason. I don't know why, but they say that you can't bury a certain type of fiber, and if it goes in the ground, we're all going to die. It's what bullshit this is, okay? They can't bury. So what they do is they leave them up. If you go to Palm Springs, California, take a look. You go into this beautiful community. Before you go, it's like you're riding through a junkyard. Windmills all over the place. Tall ones, short ones, dead ones. They're all dead. Some are hanging over by a thread. They never take them down. They just leave them there, and they start to rust. It's one of the greatest scams, and it's also the most expensive energy. And the environmentalists say, oh, we love wind. It sounds so good, but it's a horrible thing. Environmentally, it's a horrible thing. I say that to you. It's wind, and we are going to have virtually no, one mandate we have, we're going to natural gas, nuclear. Nuclear, we just had a big signing with nuclear, making it easier, safer, and better. It's really, I would say probably more than any other form of energy that's come about. It's been amazing what's been done. It's very safe, very good, and very inexpensive. But we're not going to let windmills get built because we're not going to destroy our country any further than it's already been destroyed. You go and look at these beautiful plains and valleys, and they're loaded up with this garbage that gets worse and worse looking with time. It starts when the rust
I
comes.
like the
4.5
Donald.
years, it starts to rust.
I like how they look.
And it's very expensive to paint them. So they don't paint them, and they're horrible. What's happened is horrible. So we're not
They're
going to approve.
horrible.
windmills unless something happens that's an emergency. I guess it could happen, but we're not doing any of them. I hope the Senate will soon pass a bill the House can quickly approve and get to my desk by the 4th of July. We'll have this done. And to further defend our auto workers, I imposed a 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles. Investment in American auto manufacturing is surging because of it.
Fed household net worth fell to $169 trillion. Stock values fell by 2.3.
In the United States.
Non-financial debt expanded at 2.8%. Household debt expanded at 1.9 annualized.
I did it with China. The reason you don't have Chinese cars here is because I imposed it my last term.
China
I actually asked the question.
Manufacturing capacity.
Do we have any Chinese cars here? No. Why? Because you imposed a 25 or 27.5% tariff on Chinese cars. So they're not coming here, but they are going to Europe all over the place. But I love China. We just made a deal, and I respect President Xi a lot. And we made a deal that's good for both countries. The deal we made with China, good for both countries.
So look, guys, bonds are up. A lot
of money made. And
all of the fear shit in dollar. But yo, why did the VIX just hit a high?
Ultimate thing, and I'm going to be working with President Xi.
You're nowhere near the fucking low.
And that's going to be good for China.
Yeah, man, I don't know. That one's weird.
Opening up China. That's
I mean, you did watch yesterday's watch list. Maybe people are just buying some 30 days out, you know, but
it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
You do have the bond auction in an hour, though. That's weird, bro.
Further
You've never seen you at VWAP with the VIX rising. GM and oh wow, they're getting clapped on the tariff thing.
Automobiles and investment in American manufacturing and auto manufacturing. All manufacturing is surging, and I might go up with that tariff in the not too distant future. The higher you go, the more likely it is they build a plant here. Ford has just announced that it's going to invest $500 million in some of the things involved in what we just did. General Motors is going to spend $4 billion. They just announced that yesterday.
I kind of want to play one of those. It's 2%. It's big, but the premium
reopen its Belvedere assembly plant. That's good.
And that 25% on the autos that hit.
Had a lot of problems.
Oracle ripping still.
They're going to spend $5 billion. And Hyundai announced that it will invest $21 billion in America. They wouldn't have invested 10 cents if we didn't have tariffs, including for manufacturing American steel, which is doing great. American steel is doing great now.
Yeah, he's talking about
what we did. You wouldn't have, if I didn't put tariffs on steel, they were dumping steel. China and a lot of other countries were dumping steel in our country. Garbage steel, dirty steel, bad steel, not structurally sound steel.
Dirty steel, bad steel, garbage steel.
There, lots of it.
Yeah, auto tariffs may go up in the not too distant future.
50% tariffs on steel.
All right, SPY ripping now. That was so weird. The VIX just hit a new high.
And we were doing great
on all of that. Now but you're very, very up right now comparatively to other times you've seen that.
Pennsylvania.
But now you're moving up, bonds there, everything else.
$17 billion on U.S. steel.
If China's willing to open up economy to American goods, we can see rebalancing with U.S. relationship.
And we have a golden stock. We have a golden share.
Yeah, he's saying they could fix fentanyl,
too. I control, or President controls.
Okay, GM already came back.
Whoever the president might be, but that gives you total control. It's 51% ownership by Americans. And we have a company, a great company, Nippon. They're coming in from Japan. They're going to spend $17 billion. And somebody said, well, what happens if it doesn't work out? I said, they spent $17 billion. We can't put it on a trailer and drive it to Japan. This is a steel mill. You know, some businesses you can move. You move your office, and that's where the business is. With this business, they're spending think of that, $17 billion. They're going to have them all over the country. I want to introduce several of the great Americans representing the millions of people whose livelihoods we're saving with today's action. I just can't tell you how incredible this action is, because nobody thought. This was one that I wasn't so, I would have rather had it than almost anything, but I was told by everybody, except that guy right there, that you couldn't get it. Bill Kent runs a chain of family-owned convenience stores that opened in West Texas in 1957, known as Kent Quick. And Bill, if you could come up and say a few words about...
Is that Quick Stop?
What the signing means to you, please.
Wow, you're probably wondering why I've called you all here today, right? What a great day. From my perspective, I'm in the convenience store and petroleum marketing business, and what this does is it gives us freedom. It gives the consumers freedom to pick what kind of car they want.
AMD's starting to
But more
climb up.
importantly
Bonds
for
are
us,
going.
It
So,
gives us
you
the
would think
ability
it
to
started
plan
with fear,
going
but now
forward,
they're
because
holding
with
up. Again,
mandates,
Intel just went red to
we were
green.
forced
Right
to have
now,
to look at
Israel
putting
ready
in,
to strike
infrastructure
as U.S.
that
evacuates.
frankly
It seems
is
like a
extremely
reiteration.
expensive and doesn't give you any return. So this allows us, it's going to free me up and our companies up to invest in what people want, in the cars they want, and it's a great day. So, Mr. President, Congress, thank you, Steve.
Again, you got that
everybody,
big bond
thank
auction.
you so much. Thank you.
In about 50 minutes.
And a friend of mine for a long time is John Hess. He's one of the top CEOs in the country, and he's now the CEO of Hess Corporation, one of the biggest oil producers, and he's a fantastic person with great knowledge of the subject matter. Can you say a few words, John? I see you in the audience. Come on, thanks.
Hi, I'm John Hess, and CEO of Hess Corporation, a proud producer of oil and gas in North Dakota and the Gulf of America. And so
I
you
have
all
the
know,
same hairline as Josh. That's how my head looks. You know that?
I was born
I just
in
got
New
like
Jersey,
the curly
grew
on
up
the
in New
side.
York.
But you see that
And
little
my
stripping?
father
I got
started
the
our
strip
company
right there. I'm a little
by
further,
driving
but
the second-hand
and I got
oil
the
trucks.
curls
So,
on
Mr.
the
President,
side, so
it's
I
an
look
honor
way
to be
more
before you
swaggier.
today, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
Mr. President, during your campaign, you made a commitment to the American people to repeal unworkable and costly mandates for cars and trucks and let the consumer choose what type of vehicle they drive. Today, with the bipartisan support
You're
of
ripping.
Congress, you're making good on that
Embassy released a statement
I'd like to
denying
recognize
any
Speaker
changes
Johnson,
in posture
Leader
with
Thune,
Iran.
other members
Could
of
be off of
Congress
that.
whose tireless
So
efforts
again,
were critical to
kind of the
outcome we
embassy,
celebrated
but then
today.
Israel,
And a
everyone said a
special
bunch of
thank
shit
you
already.
to Senator Capito
So
for
see,
her
it might
leadership.
be all just still Israel bullshit because we're in that range.
This announcement today is about consumer choice and affordability for American families. It's also about making our
Elon
country,
already had a hair transplant.
auto industry more
You know that?
competitive, Mr. President, and you said that
That's why
very eloquently.
my mom told
As
me to
you
get
know,
a hair
Mr. President,
transplant.
one size fits
She
all
said, "Even the
policies like
Elon
those
have."
adopted in California
I said,
do
"Mom."
not work. America,
You know that? My mom tells me to
in
get a
every
hair
state,
transplant. How
every
sad is
American
that?
should be able
And I'm
to
like,
choose
"Mom,
what
I'm
they want to
rich.
drive, not the
Don't
government.
you get it, Mom? I don't need
We
to."
as a country
And she's
would,
like, no, Habibi. I'm like, Mom, it's okay.
Basically, leaning into our competitive advantage with this repeal on oil and gas. Oil and gas are a strategic industry for our country, underpinning
Y'all waiting
energy
for hair
dominance, economic
I just
prosperity,
can't wait for my face
and
reveal
national
so I
security.
can popularize
we are truly energy
the Egyptian
independent.
mullet.
So, Mr. President,
I look forward
on
to it.
behalf of
I'm just gonna make it cool.
On behalf of the oil and gas industry and every family across
Elon
our
is
country,
rich.
thank
I know,
you for
but
your courageous leadership.
he's
and
poor
your
inside.
commitment
I'm
to
talking in
consumer
spirit,
choice
my brother.
and energy affordability.
Oh, y'all
Thank you
misread
very
me,
much.
huh? Yeah. I'm rich in spirit. That's why I love life. I love who I am too. So how God made me is amazing.
Very
and how He made all of
respected
you
guy.
too. All of you are perfect. Don't
The
ever
California
change yourself.
EV mandates would
Okay?
also have
Especially for a
devastated
worldly
our
standard.
nation's
Amen.
incredible truck drivers and the
Amen.
trucking industry, and I gave you a little bit of a rundown of that. But a diesel-powered semi-truck can drive from Reno, Nevada. I'll give you some other locations. Nevada to Los Angeles, California, and back on a single tank of diesel oil, diesel fuel, but the same exact journey would require an electric truck driver to stop also 6 times at recharging stations, adding an estimated 9 hours to the trip. I don't know too much
Wow.
about the trucking industry, but
Bro,
this is
bond's
not
going up.
good.
I don't know, man. This one's
Here
weird.
to discuss
and then
a
the
little
bond
bit about
auction's
the
going to
trucking
make everything
industry.
remixed too.
Gina
But
Jones,
yeah, we're still
and
up. You're
Gina,
near the high of the day after that
a
little
real
freak
expert
out
on trucks. I can
on
tell
the
you
Israel
that's
shit.
going to come up and tell us about trucks. Thank you, Gina.
Tell us about trucks.
Thank you, Gina.
ground stop at Boston International, a JetBlue aircraft loses the runway
thank you,
into the
members
grass.
and Congress. The trucking industry.
Bro, do you guys not remember
America's
what I
back.
was telling you at the
And
beginning
we
of this
are
week?
grateful that a president
And then I was telling you
and the
how all this
administration
shit isn't
that
like
have our back.
I care more about security.
Today, trucks are
Then we got fucking another set of
99%
planes.
than a generation ago. We need great partners in government to continue that process. We cannot allow one state's regulations to disrupt our entire nation's supply chain. Allowing California to do so would have negativity impacted the hundreds and thousands of truck drivers who deliver critical goods across the country each and every day. In order to deliver for American families and businesses, we need realistic national standards. With the signing of this resolution, Mr. President, you have delivered the leadership
my life's so
that
positive, I can't
trucking
even say
industries
negativity.
need. Promises made, promises kept. On behalf of the On behalf of the 8.5 million Americans who work throughout the trucking industry, I thank you.
Bessent says EU has
Great
been
job.
very intractable in trade talks.
So just to wrap it up,
That guy has
under
such
the
a
Trump
vocabulary.
administration, we will restore the
Intractable.
full strength, might, and glory of the American auto and trucking industry. We'll protect our truck drivers, auto workers, small business people, and manufacturers all over our country, and actually all over the world, and that's okay too. They'll be doing a product that works, a product that's much more efficient, that's better, it's much better,
Way better.
less expensive. And we'll put
Way
affordable
less.
energy and affordable car
Way more
ownership back on the center of the American dream as we make America great again, and that's what's happening. We're making America great. You know, when I went over to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, just a couple of weeks ago, the leaders of those countries, and they're very smart people.
I don't know
they
why.
said,
I noticed it, but
you've made
most
in a
banks were
short
doing
period
good
of time,
earlier.
America, the hottest nation in the world. It's the hottest. You're the only one we talk about now. And 6 months ago, it was a laughing stock. They said that to me. Those words. It was a laughing stock, and it was an absolute laughing stock. We've got the hottest nation right now in the whole world, and the numbers are reflecting it too. So I just think it's great. And what I'll do is I'll sign this, then we can take a couple of questions if you want. And we will be finished, and you're going to go off, and you're going to build
What is that? That's a
the most
Oompa
beautiful
Loompa.
automobiles for 20%
You
less
don't know
money.
Oompa Loompas?
And I want to thank you, man. You
Yeah,
have done
man.
some job.
They
Thank
exist
you, Mike.
in the stock market
Thank
too.
you.
Be careful with the Oompa
You
Loompas.
guys want to come up here?
You guys want to party? Is that it?
Come on, sit around.
I think the VIX is really weird. I mean, remember, you guys, if this week even wants to like react weird on the Israel-Iran stuff, I don't think it matters.
No auto pens allowed.
Oh, ha, 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 ha. I love you, Donald. Ha, ha, ha. Donald. Ha, 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 ha. But, yeah, this week doesn't matter anymore. Again, it's all about SEP next week. Just really think about that, especially how we're moving. Intel popping now 0.5%. So maybe we go back to Bessent, but you know Trump, he might say something. He might make another executive order while signing the other one.
Number
Be
2.
like, that's a good idea. We'll do that tomorrow. I'll see you bright and early. Like, what the fuck, dude? Oh, I hate that noise.
Very steady hand. It's very important. Very steady.
I'm gonna do that every time after I snake a play chat. I'm gonna start saying that.
Only a steady hand.
I'm gonna be like, steady hand, Chad. That's how look at very important. A steady hand right there. You see that? That's how you bottom tick that fast. You gotta be steady.
And choice. You can say choice. We have choice for education, and you have choice for cars now, right? Common sense is right. You're right. Common sense is right.
I hate that sound, dude. Even on video, I hate it. Intel's still going now. It's about 1%.
Okay, everybody. There's a few extra. You're going to take them? Give them to some of the people. Go ahead, please.
Tessa!
All right, Brian, yeah, please.
Nice, he's answering questions.
I have some very close friends who run some of the largest auto dealerships in Southern California. Automotive Group.
Good.
Their message to you, they're 100% behind you right now. They know they're going through some soft sales period.
It's true.
They're in it for the long haul. What's your message to thousands of auto dealerships across this country that are kind of navigating through this tariff?
Yeah, they're going to do better than ever before. They're going to sell cars in America at levels that they've never even thought of before. And they're going to make more money than they ever made before. It's going to be great. They're going to be selling a better car, too. It's going to be a better product.
And they're behind you 100%.
I know. I know that. They have been behind me, right? They knew it was right. They've been asking for this for 25, 30 years, in all fairness. No, they're very happy.
We're
I
waiting
told
on
you,
the
the Auto
bond
Workers
auction. That'll be in
Union,
30
we
minutes.
got tremendous votes. But
It's a good sign if
they like
bonds
me
hold
today
the bid.
even better than they did on Election Day on November 5th.
BlackRock
because they see the
Fink
results
says
and
I'm not
they're all
planning to
happy.
leave
And-
anytime soon.
and- yeah, and they have plants moving in, Brian. A lot of plants are moving in. Thank you very much for that question. Yeah. Oh, he was killing the auto industry. I don't think he knew it. I think he's a guy who he's just got a faulty thought process. You look at that train. The train is the most. I've seen people, stupid people with cost overruns for years. I've watched where something would cost twice as much or 3 times, but this thing is costing 20 times more. It's the most incredible disaster I've ever seen. That's one. The cars are just as bad. Everything's bad. And now you have this situation. So his own sheriff, who's a good man, by the way, said 2 days ago or 3 days ago that we could not have done this without the military. They were going to take over this whole, they couldn't have done it. Now today they got him to change his tune. He said, oh, I think we could have handled it. You know, it's so sad. He was so honest. I was using his quote all over the place that they got him to change. But he knows. Los Angeles would be right now burning to the ground just like the houses burned to the ground. It's so sad what's going on in Los Angeles. Think of it. They had a fire that should have never had because they should have listened to me in the water. Eventually, we broke in and we had the water come down from the Pacific Northwest. I could show you pictures now with the half pipes, the big half pipes coming all the way down California. Water, so much water. They don't have any droughts. They don't have any. They have so much water. They sent it all out to the Pacific Ocean for 20 years. So ridiculous. And we got them to take it now. But what they do and what they're doing, this is a big problem. And what they really want to do is keep criminals because they're trying to protect criminals. Sanctuary cities are a disaster in this country. And most of the voters don't want them. Politicians like them for whatever reason, but I think the politicians are wrong. That's why we won in such a convincing fashion. We won all 7 swing states. We won by millions of votes. We won 2,750 districts as opposed to 505. That's why when you look at the map, it's almost all red. It's got 2 little blue stripes on each side of it. It's almost all red. But no, you have to. I always got along with Gavin.
Oh,
I
wow.
like Gavin. I've liked
Fed
him
Inspector
always.
General
He said
probes
I never called
GOP
him.
move to dismantle
They asked him a
CFPB.
question on
And then
Fox,
APLD.
I guess.
Seen that
I
one
never
in a couple
spoke to
days.
him. He doesn't
And
remember
Intel's
the
still
call.
running.
He doesn't remember. I never
Yeah,
spoke.
bro, the
and then
VIX
I
has
produced
been
the phone
climbing.
call.
Very odd.
I had it.
Last time
took
it
me
did
about
it,
2
we hit
minutes.
a high on the VIX, then we
I
ripped.
said, well, here's the
and
call.
then now we're
It
back.
lasted 16 minutes and 4 seconds, and it was at 12:30 in the evening. I actually made a call, didn't pick up. I called him a second time, and he picked up. And I told him, I said, you have to get your ass in gear because you're going to have a problem there. And he would have. If we didn't bring the military in, he would have had, you would have right now something. And I went through it because I follow the rules 100%. And I watched in Minnesota where you have the man who ran for Vice President of the United States. Fortunately, he was a disaster. But he wouldn't call in the National Guard. And I eventually called in the National Guard, but it was seven days late. I said, I'll never do that again. I'm never going to, if I see problems brewing, if they're not going to do the problem, I'm not going to wait 2 weeks. Because that city, Minneapolis, burned down. If you remember the CNN anchor, he was standing there saying, yes, this is a peaceful
that,
rally.
learning
And
from
behind
last
him,
time.
the entire city was on
Unity
fire.
now.
Looked like World War II.
All these little small
And,
caps.
I appreciate the question.
Snowflake even. Yeah, some software plays.
Thank you.
We can't hear.
The plane crash was terrible. I've already told them anything we can do. It's a big country, a strong country, and they'll handle it, I'm sure. But I let them know that anything we can do, we'll be over there immediately. But it was a horrific crash. It looks like most are gone. They actually maybe have a couple survivors, which is just heard. But that was a horrible crash. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea what it might be. I gave him a couple of
everything took a pop.
pointers. I said maybe you'll look at
Would
this.
love
or
to
that. You know, we
avoid
saw the
conflict
plane.
with
It looked like
Iran.
it was
That's what it's popping on.
flying pretty well. It
It's
didn't
all
look
Middle
like
East
there was an
bullshit, dude. That's so
explosion.
crazy.
Just looked
Most
like
of
the
your
engines
moves
maybe
since
lost
middle of the
power.
day
Boy,
yesterday,
that is a terrible
all on
crash.
Middle
It's
East.
one of the worst in aviation.
So yeah,
history.
that pop right
second.
there, that's in the wire. Iran will have to give us things they're not willing to.
Well, I'd love to avoid the conflict. Iran's going to have to negotiate a little bit tougher, meaning they're going to have to give us some things that they're not willing to give us right now. I'm the last person. I've kept us out of wars. We defeated ISIS completely, 100%, and I haven't had it's peace through strength. I believe in peace through strength. We're the greatest military in the world. I rebuilt the military, as you remember, for 4 years. I rebuilt the military, and then we gave a chunk of it away, but it was still peanuts. It was a lot, but it was peanuts compared to what we rebuilt. Gave it to Afghanistan, one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our country with the whole withdrawal, the way they withdrew was very embarrassing. But we rebuilt the military. We have the greatest, strongest military.
U.S.
We defeated
fears
ISIS.
Iran
We
response
defeated
to
ISIS.
Israel would be a mass casualty event. Axios. That's also coming out right now.
We defeated ISIS in 4 weeks. It was told to be 5 years. It was going to take 5 years, anywhere from 4 to 5 years. We did it in 4 weeks. With, by the way, headed by the general who's now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's why he's there.
Iran, Flutter. Again, a
he
lot of
said
like
it would take 4 weeks,
discretionary,
and he
like
did it in
risk-on
4 weeks.
plays
I
are
think
moving.
Actually, a little bit faster.
Very odd. You might just be getting held down, even though equal weight's
We have a great
underperforming.
country, and we're going to keep
you
it
have
that
big
way.
tech
And
kind of holding
when it
you,
comes
but
to Los Angeles,
I'm just
or
seeing
other
a lot of
cities, if we
risk-on
see other
plays
cities
moving.
are gearing up, and these
And
people are
biotech and
agitators.
medicine.
They're paid. They're professionals.
Yeah, and the push-up. I'm already
they're
standing, bro. Hell yeah.
insurrectionists. They're troublemakers. They're all of those things. But I believe they're paid, and we're going to find out through Pam Bondi and her great staff, her great people at Justice, who they are. And Mike, I think you're doing some investigations in that in Congress, but we're going to find out who they are because they're really.
Yeah, APLD
I
was
think
just
what
running.
they're doing is unbelievably illegal. Just one thing. So, they took the bricks away from people. They're walking in with satchels of bricks. Now, why do you have bricks? You have bricks because you throw bricks. They're very potent. If they hit you, they kill you. And they took them away. The military took them away. They saw him. What the hell is this? The guy could hardly carry me. Many bricks. He's a strong guy. Couldn't carry him. And they saw that, and they took him away. Then they found others with bricks. But they're ingenious. They also brought hammers along, very heavy hammers. and I saw them pounding the curb and pounding the sidewalk, and it was like a military operation. This guy's pounding, strong, boom, big shots. And it was breaking up granite. The granite.
I just wanted to let you know I'm still
here.
here.
And the granite was breaking up, and the concrete was breaking
I miss
up,
you.
and there was lines of people standing there.
He hung up on me. That was intel, you guys.
They're handing him, and then he stopped handing him. He
just answered it and stayed silent.
It was so professional. I said, that's a professional organization. This is not like people at random. This guy's breaking up because they couldn't use the bricks. So who would think of this even? Did a lot of damage. A lot of curbs are broken. A lot of sidewalks broken. But I never saw that before. That's one I haven't seen. I thought I saw it all. And they have it on tape. And with that, people get killed. You know, they go to the bridges and they drop the concrete off the top of the bridge with a car coming along at 70 miles an hour and the person dies. And we had a lot of car problems. You saw that. They were all over the road. They were littered all over the road where the cars got stopped by concrete going through the front windshield.
Again, there was that negative Axios report and oil's going up.
If we didn't go, Los Angeles
low-key,
right now
this could be a delayed reaction to the Axios shit. Again, it's all Israel-Iran shit, bro.
And we stopped it. And
it's
last
very
night
hard to
was
read
good.
because, like, look at oil's tweaking right now.
You know why they didn't show up?
So it's probably going to be a Middle East headline.
If it was just the police.
I don't want to say Israeli strike is imminent.
But they're told not to do anything. They're not allowed to act. Thank you.
Quick, get off the question. He said Israeli strike could very well happen. I just popped oil.
Well, I don't want to say imminent, but it looks like it's something that could very well happen.
Yeah.
Look, it's very simple.
My wire's ahead of
Not
the video, if
complicated.
you couldn't tell.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, I want them to be successful. I want them to be tremendous. We'll help them be successful. We'll trade with them. We'll do whatever is necessary. You know, I stopped a war between India and Pakistan. And I stopped it with trade. I don't think I've ever seen a story written about it, but it was pretty cool. They were getting ready. Pakistan was their turn to hit, and eventually they're going to go nuclear. And I stopped it. I called each. I respect each leader greatly. I know them. And I spoke to them, and I talked about trade. I said, but you're not trading with us if you're going to go to war, if you're going to start throwing nuclear weapons around. And I said it to both of them, and they were both
SPR's on the high. That's related to Bobo.
Actually. They understood it exactly. They stopped. I stopped that war with phone calls and trade. And India's here right now negotiating a trade deal, and Pakistan's coming, I think, next week. And I'm very proud of that. Nobody died. Nobody. The nuclear weapons, they each have very severe, very substantial numbers of nuclear weapons. And I think we should get some credit for that. You know, the whole Republican Party should, because that's their mindset. Please. Yes, ma'am. What? Look, I've always been in favor of students coming in from other countries. That includes China. And we have 500,000 Chinese students coming in. I've always been in favor of it. Does it mean
that's hitting the
you,
wire? Market's kind of reacting to Pakistan,
you have to watch
India
people?
deal.
Yeah, you have to watch students, but you have to watch other
California
people
sues
also.
EPA over
I've always been
revoked
strongly in
TV
favor
rules.
of it. I think it's a great thing. It's also, it's good for our schools. I think it's good for our country. I'm also in favor of having them stay. I've been in favor of letting them stay. If you get educated for 4 years, you're willing to get educated for 4 years. I like people being able to stay. You know, they have some great students. You have some, these are Republicans clapping, you know, because a lot of Republicans don't like that idea. I happen to like it. I'm a real Republican, believe it or not.
Real.
But I like the idea. They go 4 years. To me, that's almost like, you know, just buying your way in a very legitimate way. And, you know, you have stories where Apple wants to hire somebody and they can't hire him because he can't stay. He went to a great school. He finished first in his class. They made him a big offer, and everything's done, but he has no idea whether or not he's going to be able to stay. And I'm all for making sure that people like that can go to work for all of our great companies. And you know what they do? They go back to their country, and there are stories that are all over the place. They go back to their company and they start a company just like they were going to start here. They end up starting it in China or India or someplace else, and now they're among the richest people in the world. They've got thousands and thousands of employees that make it great. This is happening all the time because they're not allowed to stay.
He's going to talk about Russia next.
I think we'll probably
Said
end
he's
up
not
doing
happy.
something about that, right? I think. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You in the blue, please. Light blue.
Yeah,
I'm very close
it's
to the
CNBC,
situation.
Joby,
I'm very disappointed in Russia.
and Josh Brown, and that's going to
But
pop
I'm
up the other ones.
disappointed in Ukraine
Abby
also
by Flushing.
because I think deals could have been made.
Yeah, I mean, I
and
just
you know
think
we're
a
losing
candle
5,000,
Fox on the low,
6,000
too.
people a week, soldiers mostly, but also people living in towns because they're getting hit by missiles again. How'd you like to live in a building and you think a missile has a good chance of hitting your building during the evening? It's horrible. Must be horrible to live like that. But I mean, we'll get it, but it's. I'm disappointed that it's not done. We did great with India and Pakistan. We did very good with Israel. I thought, look, October 7th was a disaster. People forget, you know, they like to forget. That was a horrible thing. But, you know, none of these things would have happened if I were president. If I were president, none of it would have happened. You wouldn't have the Israel problem. Iran was broke. They had no money. We had big sanctions on them. Biden immediately let them get rich, $300 billion they have right now. But they had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah. They had no money for anything. It was perfect. We wouldn't have had inflation that was caused by
getting
oil.
mollywopped. Yeah, there you go. Now loaded.
The oil price went through
Fox
the
and
roof. It was
Paramount,
also
something's
caused by
going
their
on in that
spending, but it was
space.
caused more by oil than anything else. The oil went so high, got close to $100
Lisa, that's
a barrel.
AMD. There's an AMD event.
And that cost.
But yeah,
and that
something
also
with
kept the war
Fox
going
and
with
Paramount.
Putin
Those
because
are moving too.
At
Maybe keep an
$100
eye
a
on
barrel,
Disney.
that was
It's by near the high after
big
this
money-making
weird-
experience.
A lot of Trump headlines.
But
a
now
lot of
it's
things
down to
moving,
where it's not
a
so
lot of Iran,
good for them anymore.
and here we are.
No, it's very important to get that solved.
Senators
That's a
proposed
bloodbath. That's a
ban
terrible bloodbath
on
that's
drug
going on.
advertising
Yeah, please,
to
go ahead.
consumers. Oh. I'm surprised Meta's not going. That could be why Paramount and all those are going down. Senator Sanders and co-sponsor.
We're going to get those two.
So yeah,
together.
even NVO and AbbVie.
I told them, India and Pakistan, they've had a long time rivalry over Kashmir. And I said, I can solve anything. I'll be your arbitrator. I will be your arbitrator. I can solve anything. And I started first question, how long has it been going on? They said, 2,000 years. I said, oh, that's a problem. Maybe I'll take it.
That's how it
When I heard 2,000 years, I said, maybe I'll have
That's how they
China solve
sound.
that problem.
Will you punish Israel for striking Iran?
Peter? Well, we're not targeting. In fact, if you look today, I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, you know, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, you know, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you know, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think.
Hey,
we can't do
ripping-
that to our farmers. And leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
So all the money's going to Airbnb? What? Okay, AbbVie's getting knocked. I'm surprised NVO isn't. Again, Wall Street Journal, Senator Sanders, your girl, put it together a bill for they want to limit drug
Yeah, it's a
advertising.
very fair question. Look, I want to have an agreement with Iran. We're fairly close to an agreement. We are fairly close to a pretty good agreement. It's got to be better than pretty good, though, but it's got to be, I'd much prefer an agreement. As long as I think there is an agreement, I don't want them going in because I think that would blow it. Might help it, actually, but it also could blow it. But we've had very good discussions with Iran. Whether or not we get there, I can't tell you, but it'll happen soon. I say this, Peter, very strongly. They can't have, whether it's going in or not going in, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I'd prefer the more friendly path.
What the Israelis told
This is how y'all give me
women who are stationed in the Middle East.
They didn't tell me anything, but I said, look, there's a chance of massive conflict. We have a lot of American people in this area, and I said, we got to tell them to get out because something could happen soon. And I don't want to be the one that didn't give any warning and missiles are flying into their buildings. It's possible. So I had to do it. I had the choice. Do I do it or not? Doing it has its downside, but it also has its upside. Like, you're going to save a lot of lives if it should happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Right? Thank you. It's going to be a great day.
What would you like folks to take away from that day? What would you hope that they would remember? And also, Mr.
President, our country is, and how strong our military is. We have the strongest military in the world. You know, it's very interesting. 3 weeks ago, it was the end of world anniversary, end of World War II, and I called France and Macron, who's a good man. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes,
AMD,
"We're celebrating
bro, I didn't
World
think
War
about
II,
it.
our victory." I said, "Your victory, your victory." Tell me
Hymns
about that.
may not move, but
And
yeah,
then
they're
I called
fucking next,
somebody
bro.
else, and I happened to speak to
They
President
live off of
Putin at the time.
advertising,
Now, in
and
all
their whole
fairness to
thing,
him,
their whole company
he
is
lost
just
51
drugs.
million people, and he did fight. Russia fought. Sort of interesting, isn't it? He fought with us in World War II,
again,
and
you have
everybody
Intel
hates
already
him.
up.
And Germany and Japan, they're fine. You know, someday somebody will explain that, but I like Germany and Japan too. But Putin is a little confused by that, you know. He said, we lost 51 million people and we were your ally. And now everybody hates Russia and they love Germany and Japan. I said, let's explain that sometime, okay? But it's a strange world. But I will say this, look, I want them to go away saying how great our country is and how great our military is. And I was making all these calls. For some reason, I spoke to like four.
CEO says AI chip market will exceed 500 billion by 2028.
And World War I, right? We won them. And yet we're the only country that doesn't celebrate. Everybody's celebrating except us. And I said, we should celebrate too.
Several No Kings protests planned across the country on Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on those?
What do they call No Kings?
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. A king would say, I'm not going to get this. A king would have never had the California mandate to even be talking to him. He wouldn't have to call up Mike Johnson and Thune and say, fellas, you got to pull this off, and after years we get it done. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all. Thank you very much. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir,
go ahead.
Mr. President, sir, you made a lengthy posting today on Truth Social about Senator Rand Paul. Do you expect to see him at the picnic tonight, sir?
I do. I look forward to seeing him, actually. I like him. He's the hardest vote in the history of the U.S. Senate to get. Probably won't get him, but he's a very tough vote. I mean, he's a very tough vote. He's always been a friend of mine. You know, I endorsed him and got him elected. I got him elected twice. But I don't think he understands how great this bill is. This is a great bill. No tax on tips, no tax on, you know, the Social Security payments. It's unbelievable what happens. No tax on overtime. You work overtime, no more tax. It's so, those are big, but they're minor compared to the big things. Taxes reduced. And let's look at the other side. If it doesn't get approved, a 68% tax increase, 68%, including the fact that the Trump tax cuts kick in, but it's a 68% tax increase and many other bad things. I don't even want to, some of them are so bad I don't even want to talk about them. I think it's one of the greatest bills we'll ever pass in this country, and I think that Leader Thune and
AMD CEO
this gentleman right here,
inference chips
what he's gone through on this with, you know, we started off with a majority of 1. Now I guess we have 7, so it's like easier, but it's really sort of 3.
What up, baby?
It's 7, but it really equates to 3, right? And we have great support. I mean, I can't tell you, I can't guarantee, but when you have a majority of essentially 3, where you can't lose anything more than 3 votes, and you get it passed, it's pretty amazing. And I think it's going to haunt the Democrats because most of the bill is common sense. It's tax
IPG.
cuts. It's border wall funding. It's
IPG,
military
my
funding
friends.
properly spent. It's all things that are like common sense.
I can't tell
They're
the
all good. There's
percentage
nothing
because it was
tricky
gapped
about
down.
it.
It's hard.
Basic stuff.
IPG, big pop.
And we don't intend on getting
And
one,
Polyalti.
think of it, not one
But
Democrat
IPG,
vote
that's a
in the
big one.
House. Mike, not one. Maybe somebody will come along. I don't know how they can run for office.
Photogenics.
So many different things. We're gonna very important. Medicare and Medicaid are gonna be strengthened, not hurt. You know, they're using fake narrative. Oh, they're gonna be strengthened. We're gonna strengthen them. They're gonna destroy them because under their policies, Medicare and Medicaid go away. Social
Workforce
Security under them is going to be
restructuring in India.
devastated. With us, it's going to be kept.
And then they had
much
something with the
stronger than
FTC.
before. And
It's
very
part of ad
interestingly,
boycott
I
investigation.
saw this, and I proved it because for 4 years I never heard Medicare, Medicaid,
What
or
do they-
Social
what do these guys
Security.
gotta do?
I've already been there, but they're going to destroy Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. They're going to wipe them out, in my opinion.
Yeah, they
because
had some
their
antitrust
policies are
stuff
so
the other
bad,
day,
the country will
IPG.
have no money to pay for
I don't know
them.
what's going
We're
on
going
with
to make
that.
them stronger than ever before. Thank you very much, everybody.
Finally. Well, you got 13 minutes till the bond auction. So not bad. That was a lot. So yeah, and then Donald Trump or whichever advisor listens. This is the thing, because is Bessent still talking? I forgot. I might have to put that back up. I need to exit out my screens, but I have all this data. Because again, they were talking. He talked a lot there, but before I go on my rant, let me give you the market real quick. All that really matters right now is Iran and Israel. Otherwise, we melt up. That's it. That's what was happening up until yesterday. You were melting up. Then you get Bessent. You get a little bit of back and forth. Iran, we stop melting up. Today, we gap down. No headline. Everyone calms down. We melt up. First sign of Iran, Israel, we go down. Oil still up. So that's what I think's there. We're actually even doing good today. It's still kind of small, but you have a bond auction in 12 minutes. And if it's not going to be Iran, Israel, it's going to be that if you want a movement. Otherwise, I don't think you need to stress yourself out too much. But, the market is being kind of driven by something a little bit more subjective rather than objective. But that being said, Donald and everybody else, and again, all this is what I kept saying while listening to Bessent, kind of glad we're not listening to it now because you hear everybody criticize the bill. It is a large amount of money. I've even criticized it myself, but I am so baffled that all of these senators are saying it only helps the rich and they have the audacity to say it's caviar over children, right? And I'm sure, and again, so here's the deal, bro. I'm disappointed that all these people have the ability to speak up and they didn't. And if they're worried about the bill now and it's much smaller than some of the other ones, why didn't they say anything before? And my big evidence, and you could go see this, I've showed this during 2022. If you guys remember, I would show you this in real time. It just wasn't popular. Kind of like when I told you about the spending bill this year too. So maybe that's the irony in all of it. Bro, AMD is tweaking off of this event. But yeah, here's the deal. Are you ready? Real wages. That's why I'm like, these people have the audacity to say that even the CBO, that it doesn't help Americans. And again, we don't know what's going to happen till we get it. But yeah, bro, what are we talking about? Real wages. So you may have made more money, but after your housing and cost went up, if you looked at the real wages, ever since 2020, it just plummeted. You came up a little bit, you had your issues, but like I'm saying, this data, there's there's weekly earnings, monthly, the CBO, the BLS, they only give you 1 year, but you got to go back and look at it. Janet, average real weekly earnings just plummeted, bro. So yeah, you guys may have more money in your pocket, but people got way less. And this is objective. Like, you could go look at it in so many ways. The gap only got bigger after Joe Biden and the inflation. And the last time y'all didn't speak up about a spending bill, It led to hurting immigrants, the people who didn't have money, all this stuff they are saying today about something that hasn't happened, they already did. And that's why I'm like, come on. So yeah, I don't vibe with it at all, because literally the last couple years literally made Americans more poor. And last time they went through a bill and they spent, $1 trillion on ESG instead, and at least we get a tax cut, that's where I could kind of agree with it. But it's like, dude, you guys were so much more reckless and all of you did was just agree with each other. I'm talking about the congressman, and it's ridiculous. And then they go up there, and Bessent is a pretty reasonable dude, and they come at him with these questions, and they, again, caviar over children. Meanwhile, the last 4 years, again, real wages went down. People can't buy homes because they're so expensive, not to mention what Powell is doing with rates. So, yeah, very rich, very, very rich. But yeah, I was saying, do you guys remember me telling you this in real time, though? Do you guys remember during 21, 22, 23, I would show you real income? Because then they would go on and Corinne would go up on TV and say Americans' wages are going up. And I'm like, yeah, you're getting paid more because it's inflation, but your dollar is buying you way less than it did 5, 6, 10 years ago. So it's kind of wild, but now, again, it kind of comes full circle because the people who have the audacity to say this about this bill that hasn't been put into motion is like, do y'all really care about this? Because why, when you did it, you all ignored it. Y'all glossed over that. And so I don't know, Bessent, Trump, y'all should bring this up. Even the CBO, that's why I'm like, really, CBO? Even the people at the CBO, now you have a warning? But before, when this type of spending wasn't even normal and was very weird and you guys had to do so much to keep doing it and hammering it home, not one person had a warning. Not one person was worried about the vulnerable, about poor communities. It's weird, bro. Yeah, even Jen Psaki would say it. See, I'm just going to go down the rabbit hole now, because this is why I also doubt a lot of Wall Street. And then, not even like my own feeling, I think I could objectively see a lot of them behind the curve because of this. Like I'm saying, the same people 5 years ago when we would bring this up, these are the same people building all of these economic theories now. I'm talking about the banks and some. That's why I only respect a couple of them. But it's kind of wild when you think about it. Because again, the same logic, the same people back then were like, oh yeah, no, you don't worry because Powell and the income and then the job and then, whatever fucking narrative they want to put behind it. But it's like, yeah, y'all believe that and y'all built around that. And then fast forward, even the stuff they're saying about the economy now, they're applying. It's like I see their logical pathway, and so it's wicked because we've gotten really, really far from the economics to a degree. Elon Musk AI startup using AMD chips. Oh, nice. And then how many shares on Chime? I don't even know what Chime is. 32 million shares? Oh, hell no. They've only done 7 million. Good luck. Yeah, AMD, that's not helping, though. The Elon. We could get some. So get ready, you guys. 5 minutes. This is the big event. Besides everything else that we've dealt with the war shit. But the bond auction, 30-year. Remember, yesterday, 10-year was good. We'll get the when issued in a couple minutes, 5. And then it takes about 2 minutes to come in. And then high number good, low number bad. Dollar Tree popping. So, yeah, we'll see. Bonds are already doing very good ahead of it, up 1% on TLT. So that's usually a good sign, but then it also could set you up for disappointment as well. But all in all, I think it's a decent one. First, I thought there was Bank of Internet. Lending Tips used to work for them, and then Lending Tips made his own. You know that? Bank of Internet. That was actually before them, I'm pretty sure. I remember. And then who bought him out? Equifax or No, the one tax. H&R Block bottom out. I think. SRM. Merck on the high. They had a drug approval today too. Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone's just getting they're hustling these IPOs perfectly though. Market has demand. They're like the way they're doing it, they're setting it up. I think they're just getting greedy because 30 million shares is a lot. That's higher than all of these, even though the other ones had higher prices. What's for Philo today? Oh, a very good one. A very, very good one. I love Philo. It's a good time. So yeah, maybe I should remind you. You guys should get a membership. If you haven't already, most of you have. Right? This is a good time to propaganda and tell them how great it is since you purchased your membership. But actually, after I tell you to buy a membership, let me tell you guys this, though. All my non-members, can I tell you what I'm looking for? Can I give you guys an opportunity? I would love to. FTC may hit a mega ad merger with an unusual rule. No boycotting. Yeah, bro, that's the one company. What was that one? IPG. That's what it's related to. IPG. That headline. This little no boycotting. I have no idea what they do, but they were mentioned. Best membership short of my membership with Christ? Oh, man. That's a real testimonial. James Flo. Mr. Forrest Gump membership is the best investment you could ever make. Wow. That's a real testimonial. Cameron says, chat like video, get a mem and LT. That's a real live testimonial. Wow. Amazing. So as you see, real life testimonials. It's a very, 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 very good investment. Now, let me tell you though. Number one, Chad, you guys should be excited. Oh, TTD might get clapped out. Every time I'm trying to talk, something happening. The watch list is on this channel. Just go to the membership tab and you'll see it every night. Will actually change your life. Devin Skaggs, real life testimonial. Wow. Wow. I would pay double. Hayden, real life testimonial. Wow. Wow. Okay, so let me try to finish this before something else happens. So one, you guys should get excited because in 2 weeks, we will be unbanning everybody. Wow. Mercy, glory, amazing, freedom. I love it. So I hope if you did get banned and stuck around, I hope your time listening gave you time to get with the vibe, you know, and I look forward to growing a good relationship in more long terms. So that's the first part. The second part about that is like I told you, you know, don't let the weirdos mislead. I've done all of this shit free for over half a decade. Literally. Meta at 90, the Netflix, all of it, bro. I never asked for shit, bro. I ain't never taken a sponsorship. Sam fucking Bankman was trying to throw $250,000 at me. All the fucking gambling websites try to throw me $100K, $200. I say no, I don't believe in it. You know, I never did this shit for money, you guys. That's why when some of y'all try to make that point and you're like, oh, he went private, I'll show you then. That's why none of you made that joke this week after I went private an hour earlier. So thank you. But here's the deal. I said every quarter I will reevaluate. I'm genuine about that. I would love a community. And like I told you, though, for the non-members, y'all have held shit over my head from religion all the way down to information. Y'all have even claimed, how will you get info if echo chamber? Well, look at the stats. We fucking killed it without you. So that is what I'm saying. Now, please hold on this conversation The when issued is 4.859. So I'll put the wire up. So give it about 60 more seconds. We'll get the results. And then we'll finish this convo. But yeah, 4.859. High, bad, low, good. That's it. So it'll come across here. You'll see it. I want to keep ranting, but I'm waiting because I know it's going to distract me. So yeah, just hold that thought though. AMD CEO says the AI chips are faster than NVIDIA counterparts. Okay, bond, the first candle's weak. Now strong. Something about nat gas storage. Yalla. Again, 4.859. Circle flushing. APLD still going. 4.844. No fucking way, bro. 2 for 2. I bet you it was Bessent. I bet you. There's no fucking way, bro. So yeah, the 3-year didn't do good, and then the 10-year and the 30-year do good. So yeah. And that's after, bro, that's after the bonds had a bid into the auction. So very, very strong. I haven't looked at the details yet, but I could already tell. That's fucking weird. It's just somebody, I think it's Scott Bessent. He's been buying 10 bill a week or so. It's not heavy demand. I don't know the full details, but I could usually tell that it looks good. It looks better than not. Yeah, Treasury has been doing record buybacks. They haven't. That's what I'm saying. Bessent's taking it into his own hands a little bit, which is a smart idea. But at the same time, dude, did you guys not realize Donald Trump gave you the exact conversation I gave you? Because again, I had this thought yesterday, and it's a legitimate thought. Anybody with a brain should be thinking this, because it's like, well, wait a minute, that is $1 trillion. So that's a lot of fucking money. And then wait, what happens if you do put in anybody but Powell? That's it. Half of our interest rates our costs for interest get cut in half if you put anybody else but Powell. You replace him or just let him run his term, that's it. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out, but it's just easy to get caught up in the orthodoxy of just following the Fed, more or less. So, that being said, good auction. I think things should get a little bit of juice, but maybe short-lived. Other than that, okay, yeah, bid to cover was 243, so a little bit more covering. Directs accepted a little less. Indirects was high. Yeah, that's really strong, bro. That's not, and then at the very least, in the sense of, if you're worried about other demand overseas or even from like the normal buyer, that's beautiful, bro. But I think I still think it's Treasury. That's because that's kind of, yeah. I mean, rates are still high, but then again, hard data has came down, or inflation. So, yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. So, yeah, we're going to get ready to go to Philo. But like I was saying, we're going to reevaluate. And, I'm saying people have held things, again, like the religion. I like to talk about it. I don't want to deal with nonsense, okay? I've never tried to push anything on any of you. So if you make it a big deal, I'll make it a big deal. If you don't make it a big deal, I won't make it a big deal. Very simple, right? So, unfortunately, though, like I did say, I will reevaluate. Second quarter with members only, we've done amazing. Our info, our plays, the long term, NVO is still 40%. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of it. So when it's all said and done, let me tell you what I'm looking for. If you are a non-member and you want to have a non-member chat for free, I want cohesion. I really want you a part of the cult. What I mean by that is you gotta be involved. I'm looking for something of how it was back in the day. You know how it would be? We got pray for OPEC. We got that trending on Twitter. That's what I'm looking for. Y'all want to be a part of it? Y'all don't want to pay $1. Y'all don't want to delay. Y'all want the fastest shit in ever. You know, you want me working for you? Well, great. I'm down. But I expect cohesion. I expect we move as a unit. I expect people in agreement. I'm not asking you to blindly follow, and you shouldn't even believe, because look at the content I've already given you. Because none of the content I give you says that. Hence why we've been so early. Damn, NVO? Oh, NVO partnership with NVIDIA, but no fucking way. Bro, you posted that a minute ago. Oh. Well, again, we have those fucking lottos, so I'm down. They just widen those spreads. Fat, though. Yeah, NVO, bro. That's crazy. Oh, no. Whoa, no. That's a drug trial. Hold on. Nope. Pump fake. As a play action. Nothing to do with NVIDIA. Novo to advance subcutaneous and oral amcretin for weight management into phase 3. Nah, that's good. They have the NVIDIA thing, but no, the oral GLP-1 phase 3 trial. They put out a press release. Yeah. No, that was a play action. Because it came out at the same time as the NVIDIA partnership. Or like working with NVIDIA. Yeah, it's a press release on phase 3. They said obesity and oral tablets for adults to initiate first quarter 2026. Yeah, that's good. That's the one that they failed on. We bought, it was at $80. It went to $80 after they fell back on one of these trials. So that was when we first made one of our pickups. So it's good though. They're advancing. They had another update on it the other day. I'll take it as positive. The other news on the ad stuff is negative for them too. So there's a lot of both good and bad playing in on them. So, yeah. But yeah, like I was saying though. So, we'll see again in 2 weeks. But if you want to go back to free everything, no delay, I'm looking for cohesion. I want to operate as a cult. A real cult. Good in UNH. Okay, UNH round 3 now. No news, but that's kind of squeezing alongside. Check ELV and Cigna and make sure the other ones are going. Yep, Humana. It could be something broader. They're all going. So, yeah. That's what I want. Does it make sense? So I'm saying, not this pump, try to hurt the next guy in the cult. We need to work together. We are powerful as one. And like I'm telling you, we don't need you. I've already proved it for the last 6 months. We already have enough people to be that powerful. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm extending the invitation, and I would love for it to get bigger in that sense. But what do I need owners. You get what I'm saying? I need owners. I need the same mindset. I need that. That's how you don't let Wall Street pollute, because we will all be on the same track of holding the same standards. Meta says they're using the M13 chips for training and deployment for recommendation. So yeah, that's coming out now too, part of the AMD stuff. Yeah. See, and I'll do what I do. Look at that. I'll work for you, bro. I will literally work for you. I'll make your life easier. I will make sure you do not fall behind. But again, I'm looking for something, and it has to be better for everybody, and I don't want you to be a drag to the people who have already invested. But yeah, we need to work as one, bro. That's what I want. I want to see more of that. And if you could get that, if we could move like that and get back to that, I would love it. Otherwise, like I'm saying, the people who have already supported in a way, and they already have what I'm looking for. You see what I'm saying? They were willing to do it before I even asked. They were down, they were supporting, they liked everything, they're sharing it, they're watching every video, they're involved, and then again, it profited them. And that's the beauty too. Because I know it will benefit you, and I know it will make you money. But if you don't give it that same, if we don't work with that cohesion and give it that same investment, man, you're only going to just pick apart and get the dog shit. So, yeah, man, if you feel me, we'll see. We got 2 weeks to the end of the quarter. But yeah, I'm being serious about it. If you think I'm just doing this to do it, no, I want goals. I have goals. I want positivity. I'm here to raise the standard of the Chad in the market and to help retail and to leave people walking away owners. So you're either with me or you're not. And if you're down, let's go. But this is what I want to see. And I hope you've gotten to see examples. You know what I'm looking for. And we could get, and let's make it happen, baby. Let's make it happen. Woo! And shout out all the new members who joined on that. God bless you. So yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I think y'all feel me. So amen, bro. Amen. Now, we're going to go to Fila. So maybe in 2 weeks we stop this. Maybe I don't have to. But I'm going to leave that up to you guys. And again, look, there's already a group of people. They're not waiting for you. They're already with it. So let's go, baby. But thank you all for your time. Get a damn long term. I will see you at Power Hour. Otherwise, you want to talk about God, I will see you at Philo. Peace. Oh, Boeing CEO. Boeing team stands ready to support. So that's your first. Is that your first Boeing statement? That's coming out now. All right, man. Peace.